In preparation for 2023 presidential elections, the National Judicial Council has issued a new policy on political and election-related cases to courts. And the People's Democratic Party abandons zoning and throws open the presidential ticket. This is Plus Politics. I'm Mary Anna Cole. The National Judicial Council has issued a new policy direction on the handling of political and election-related cases, as such suits begin to flood Nigerian courts ahead of the 2023 general elections. The new policy issued by the NJC's meeting gives strict rules to politicians on where they should file their political and election-related cases. Announced by the NJC's Information Director, Soji, the new policy also contains rules on how heads of courts and judges must handle suits that have been ruled upon by a coordinate jurisdiction. The statement said the NJC issued the new policy to prevent another wave of conflicting decisions from courts of coordinate jurisdiction. The new policy, according to the NJC, takes immediate effect. Well, joining us to discuss this is Jide Ologun. He is a legal practitioner. Thank you so much, Mr. Ologun, for joining us.
Sure.
Great. Let's start by looking at all the things that have happened in the judiciary, of course, with the elections over the years that has led the NJC to this position. I mean, just recently we had two conflicting court orders that made the CJN, of course, come out to say this cannot happen again. But then the question is, even though this has been put up by the NJC, how realistic, how workable is it, and will Nigerians, including the politicians, abide by it?
You know, with the experiences we have had, we expect that this time around, the Judicial Council will proceed to ensure that these laws are enforced, because we cannot outrightly say that before now we don't have rules and regulations that the judges are expected to follow. And the National Judicial Council remains an executive body established by the federal government, in line with the provisions of Section 153, Nigeria Constitution 1999 as amended, to protect the judiciary of Nigeria from the whims and caprices of the executive primarily, and of course by extension to ensure that the judiciary functions in a way that justice is delivered to the people. And like you brilliantly mentioned earlier, we've had instances where you have cross ex parte orders being given by courts of coordinate jurisdiction, and that is what the National Judicial Council is trying to put is talk to now. A very recent example is the fact on the new Electoral Act 2022 as amended, particularly Section 84 subsection 12, that stipulates that political appointees must resign from their offices at least 30 days before the primaries. And somebody now went to court all the way in Abia State, and a judge trying to position this new provision with the provisions of the Constitution declared it null and void, and that it should be expunged from the new amendment. And of course, that may be the position of the law, but when you clearly try to identify that who is a political appointee and who is a civil servant, the Constitution is also clear on that. But interestingly, the appellate court has ruled that that provision contravenes the fundamental human rights as we have in our Constitution, but discountenanced the decision of the court in Abia State by virtue of jurisdiction and the fact that the person that went to court does not have a local standard. And we call that, what interest do you have to have gone to court? So you see a situation where we paint the picture of what we call forum shopping, going to a court where you are likely to get favor. And the National Judicial Council is rising up now to say we will not allow it to continue. If the judiciary is entrusted with the mandate of justice, then justice should not just only be done, but clearly seem to have been done. In the words of Martin Luther King Jr., he said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, and that we are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. So, and whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. So, if we allow the justice system to be derailed, definitely the impact will be felt by the society, in the health sector, in the economy, everywhere. Because what Section 15, subsection 5 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended says is that the state shall abolish corrupt practices and abuse of office. So justice must be able to stand tall in our society.
Talking about justice standing tall, I mean, just like I said, in December last year, the NJC had to sanction about 3 High Court judges after issuing conflicting court decisions on political cases with the same subject matter. Now, the councils have also warned various heads of courts to put a stop to such embarrassing conducts of their judges in the various jurisdictions. But my question is, this is the season where we're going to have these suits and counter suits. What are the measures? Because you see, I feel like we in this country have several laws that may have covered almost everything, but we always find a way or look for loopholes. And half the time, they're double standards. What are the measures are there that may be put in place to ensure, like you said, the enforcement or strict adherence to what the council has put out? Because it's okay, it's all fine and dandy to put this out, but what is the assurance that we will not see the same things play out that we've seen year in, year out for the election cycles?
Lovely question. And I think I have partly answered that by saying that these rules need to be enforced by whoever is rolling them out. And brilliantly, the Judicial Council is addressing the issue of jurisdiction. And one of the highlights of these new rules is that any suit that the outcome will likely have an effect or compel persons of actions beyond the territorial jurisdiction of any state must be filed at the High Court or the Federal Territory, Abuja. So that puts a stop to, for the example I just gave, where somebody will rush down to Abia State. And where there is a case within the exclusive jurisdiction of the Federal High Court, the due policy says they shall be filed or received at Abuja and assigned by the Chief Judge of the court. And it further states that all such suits within the course of action that arises in the state and the relief sought or declarations, within the state are within the state's territory with no consequence outside the state. They shall be filed, received, or had only in that state. So you don't say that you are not satisfied with the decision of the High Court in Lagos State, for instance, and you start rushing to Osun State. You see, so they are trying to make rules and policies that will ensure that justice is actually transparent. Because, like all those cross-ex-parte decisions that brought embarrassments recently, that led to the sanctioning of some of the judges. We need to prevent all this. But you see, we have laid much emphasis on ex parte order. But in the words of Justice Rose Bibo, one of the justices in the Supreme Court of Nigeria, he is of the opinion that ex parte order must remain a part and parcel of our justice system due to its utility, because there are certain conditions that must be met before the grant of the ex parte order. And in such situation, there is a likely irreparable or serious miscarriage of justice that will result if that order is refused. And what is ex parte order? An order sought and obtained without putting the other party on notice. You recall that recently the governor of Central Bank rushed to court asking the court to grant an injunction against INEC and then the Attorney General of the Federation in respect of his intention to declare and obtain nomination form for the presidency of Nigeria. And the Honorable Justice said, no, this is not serious enough. Put the other parties on notice. Let them come and show cause or refuse or allow me to grant the order. So justice is declared to be the umpire in the society. See, the legislative arm will make the laws, the executive arm will execute the law, and the judiciary will interpret. And when the judiciary begins to lose the confidence of the people, it's a very dangerous development. It was Blaise Pascal who said that justice and power must be brought together so that whatever is just may be powerful and whatever is powerful may be just. If not, we'll be creating confusion in our society. That is why we must commend the noble intervention of National Judicial Council in ensuring that we follow the path of honor, trying to adjudicate in the temples of justice.
I want to take you back to some things that the president had mentioned, I think, in his first tenure about, election tribunals. And of course, I remember lots of people argued about the manpower. They talked about personnel, judges to sit on these tribunals. So I'm trying to understand if this is some form of, let's say, a bridge between the election tribunal and the average court system. But again, if this is going to be just in Abuja and subject to states, depending on where the cases are, how fast can these processes be? Again, let's not forget that the majority of the problems that we've had, in fact, the reason why our election calendar is the way it is right now is because of the suits and the counter suits and the cases of, arising from elections. And so we now have Ekiti and Osun and we have the likes of Anambra in November of 2021. So what is the assurance again that this would bridge all of those gaps that have already been, created within the electoral system? Do we see fast tracking of these judgments, or is it just going to even slow it down further, being that the courts in Abuja might be saddled with more and more cases than it's ever been able to handle?
It's a function of efficiency and effectiveness, and we need to look at the macro environment. We have the requisite infrastructure and the superstructure to support effectiveness. And when I talk about infrastructure, you talk about the facilities. Yeah, it's fantastic. When you get to the Supreme Court in Abuja, you'll be glad that you have such facilities in the country. But the story is not the same in many courts. There are courts you get to sometimes there's no electricity. And the judges or magistrates would have to struggle, to sit on these cases. And you talk about the workload. I can let you know that even in the Supreme Court of Nigeria, the courts may be dealing with cases of 2008. So there are various challenges that we can upscale. But what are we making available to support the system? And again, talking about the manpower, can we claim that we have justices, and judges and magistrates, who serve in the temple of justice, that can fully concentrate on that career, that we not need to combine other businesses with what they do, given the economic situation in the country? So these are some of the several issues that affect us. These are general issues, not just in the judiciary. And that is why sometimes you find out that even members of the National Assembly that should be in the National Assembly making laws for the country are busy running after contracts and, running after importation of goods and services to make ends meet in quotes, despite all the huge allowances they collect. So we need to build a system that allows people to focus on what they have been mandated to carry out. You see, and in this age of IT, it should not be a serious burden to dispense justice. I can let you know we have a lot of challenges, I mean, new judges are, brought on board to support the system, and you constitute this tribunal when necessary. But given the fact that for many years we've had a lot of backlogs, then you must be concerned that we need to clean up the space to give room for efficiency and effectiveness. Because I must say that some judges are really working against it. tight. I've been in a court at the time, and I really commend the magistrate who was in Ogba in Lagos here for working under such a very harsh condition. But just because she was diligent, another magistrate would have adjourned all the cases and asked you to come back at another time, because they have that discretion. So those are the issues we have in the country. We need to upscale our environment, our working environment, and the mindset, the attitude to work to ensure that we deliver. And that also brings the time frame into it, knowing that whoever comes to court is in court because justice is desired, you know.
Yeah,
because
I was going to ask also. I was going to ask also, because you're saying an upgrade in infrastructure, an upgrade in the working environment, and I'm looking at the time frame. The primaries for the political parties is just around the corner, and before we know it, elections will be here. Is there even enough time for that upscale to happen? Again, do we? And this question is solely for you at your own discretion. Do you see the government in a position to do that upscaling, to make sure that it happens? And when I'm talking about the government, I'm talking about those who have been elected, you know, or appointed by Mr. President to oversee the judiciary. Do we see them pushing for those upgrades or the upscaling that you're talking about? And these changes that must be done to fast track and reduce the workload, can it be done within the time that we have before the elections in itself begins?
You know, brilliant question. And I can let you know that in Nigeria, all things are possible. Let me bring the experience we had in the aviation sector recently, when the aviators, you know, even expressed intention to down tools. We saw how quickly the National Assembly, you know, decided to gather to intervene, and a top personality spoke to them, and that was suspended because the high and mighty are afraid to travel by road because of the state of insecurity. So, but that could not be done in the case of ASU. So it's a matter of priority. You see, okay, let me bring another case. The Section 4 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended says that the National Assembly shall make laws for the peace, order, and good governance of Nigeria. And you expect diligence in that. But sometimes it drags on and on and on and on. But right now we have the amendment of the Electoral Act to accommodate statutory delegates. And we can all see the speed at which that law is being amended. So it's a matter of whether how well it affects them. I can let you know, after all, you've seen how about 4 trillion naira we mobilized to attend to subsidy and things like that. So the interest of the higher market and the interest of the general populace.
But you see, the explanation that you gave, or the example that you gave about the aviation sector, that's more urgent and expedient for the politician. But then for some people, it might just be great if, you know, certain things drag out in court and delay the process. So it's a win-win for certain politicians. But I really don't know what would make it urgent for the average politician, other than, you know, maybe them also saying, oh, well, we're shutting down and downing tools. And I'm not sure that we will see that coming from the judiciary anytime soon, will we?
I use that illustration to tell you that if it is important, there will be a way to attend to it. Like they say, if there is a will, there is a way. And let me say this, as a lawyer, I know the enormous discretion that judges have in their courts. You know, I must at this point commend Justice Kanyib of the National Industrial Court. You know, we were in that court on a particular day. We started sitting, I think, around 9 a.m. And this justice did not rise until about 6 p.m. And he will tell you, I'm not just here to listen to your cases. I am judged by the number of cases I conclude. So if, for instance, you come with frivolous excuse to waste the time of the court, he is the one that will throw out your excuses and give you a specific time frame. You have to come back to me next week, so day, to come and prove your case. Recall that recently, during the prosecution of Nnamdi Kanu, the law enforcement agents came to court and said they could not bring Nnamdi Kanu to court for logistic reasons. I mean, the judge could have said, what is the logistic? Is it vehicle? Then go to my pool of vehicles, get 2 Helios vans, get my orderlies, and go and bring him here. So those who are in the temple of justice, they have enormous power to deliver on justice. And that is why sometimes some people suspect that, okay, maybe they are being manipulated. Let me tell you, naturally, with the crop of politicians we have in Nigeria, some of them just want to waste time and throw spanners. But when they realize that the courts will not allow any frivolity, for example, you come to court with a frivolous matter, the judges have the latitude to slam you with heavy damages. They slam you with serious monetary sanction, and then next time you don't think about it. But in a situation where we're even beginning to make laws now, that if a candidate presents fraudulent documents in terms of credentials, it's only another candidate that is contesting that can sue on it. So by some disturbing extensions, we are even trying to water down the dictates of justice. But by and large, if we want seriousness in the judiciary, we can create that seriousness. I've been in court when the judges will say, no, I'm stepping down this case. I will attend to you by 2 p.m. So go and get in touch with your other colleague, and this case must go on. I have 2 more adjournments for you. Don't waste the time of the court. So these are issues. But for some judges who are overwhelmed with different kinds of cases, and some lawyers also will naturally come to waste time, bringing different kinds of applications. But what some judges do is to harmonize everything and say, no, this application is not necessary in this instant case. Prove this or I foreclose your matter. So it's a collective responsibility to ensure that we upscale the respect that is allotted to the judiciary. So it's not just a one-way traffic, but I'm saying that these are all possibilities. They are all possible if we decide to make way for it and make effectiveness the order of the judiciary.
How can the judiciary even, because I mean, I think the litmus test in as to if the judiciary has changed its ways or will be serving or will be, as we always say here in Nigeria, the hope of the common person is in this elections and the season. How can the judiciary regain the trust of the average Nigerian, the public, because we're all looking. Many have lost hope in the judiciary. Many have pointed fingers. Many have said that they've sold themselves short, whether it be the bench or, the average lawyer. We've had those concerns over time. Do we see the judiciary trying to right those wrongs in 2023, even as they attend to issues that pertain to the elections? In closing.
The essence of justice is to help us have a sanitized society. And I have said it. You see, in the judiciary environment, we have the bench and the bar. The bench talks about the judges and the magistrates, and the bar, the lawyers. And the bench can regulate the bar. I don't come and waste my time. I just said it, that go this way or I throw your matter out, then we go elsewhere. And one of the new rules now, which is fantastic, is that if there is a decision in a court of ordinary jurisdiction, for example, you got a decision in Lagos High Court, you cannot go to Oyo on the same facts. You can only go and appeal. Some people will go and start afresh, and that is if the judge in Oyo says, no, I've read about this case, I've heard about it in the news. Why are you before my court? I don't have time for you. Go to the Court of Appeal. And the Court of Appeal is ready to attend to it quickly. We move forward. And let me say this. Francis Bacon said, if we do not maintain justice, justice will not maintain us. So we need to create that confidence that yes, we can get justice from the judiciary. And the lawyers also can call themselves to order and say, no, let's help the judiciary to really gain the confidence of the people. And when you have these checks and balances, and you have a very strong and effective National Judicial Council trying to regulate, and they also have a penalty mandate. They can penalize and call people, lawyers to order. Then we find everyone trying to, stand tall in performing their assignments in the temple of justice.
Well, I want to say thank you. Jide Ologun is a legal practitioner. Thank you so much for being part of the conversation. We appreciate it.
Thank you. God bless Nigeria.
All right. We look forward to what comes out of the courts and the judiciary in the coming elections. But thank you all for staying with us. We'll take a short break now. When we come back, we will be discussing the main opposition party abandoning zoning for the 2023 elections. And of course, former President Goodluck Jonathan abandoning the People's Democratic Party for the APC.
You see, the greatest robbery of this election, Marianne, is the fact that it has been, because of the misrule of President Muhammadu Buhari, it has become an ethnic issue rather than an economic issue, rather than an issue of saving our education sector, rather than the insecurity in the Northeast and in all parts of the North. Now everybody is more concerned about where the president comes from than what the president can do, because everybody has seen the marginalization, the ethnicentrism that has been at play under the APC.
There is a northern president that will be completing 8 years in 2023. And let me restate that the presidency is not of the party. The presidency is the president of the country. So whether it is APC or whether it is PDP or whether it is any other party, he is the president of Nigeria, not the president of the party. And for us, and I speak on behalf of Afeni Ferret, Ohanes Indigo, Sandel, and the Middle Belt Forum, under the auspices of Southern and Middle Belt leaders. And I'm restating the position of that forum, that any political party in Nigeria, any of the major political parties, there are political parties that we know that are motion parties, any of the major political parties, particularly APC and PDP, that choosing other candidates will not have our support. And it's a statement of fact.
Journalism in Nigeria is an all-commerce affair. Why is it an all-commerce affair? It's only in journalism where you see somebody who read an engineering course or maybe a medical course, practicing as either a broadcaster or a reporter, doing stories. Somebody who probably read psychology in school, So there is the lack of, what should I say, standardization, So all of these things, pose a very serious challenge, in terms of staying on stories and following up on stories.
The Southeast governors, led by the governor of Ebonyi State, has to really sit down again to redefine what they established as the Eastern Security Network. The Ebubago Security Network. Yes. The Ebubago Security Network was meant to be a regional security outfit like Amotekun. But if we watch the way the different other 3 governors or 4 governors of the Southeast have been acting or behaving, it does appear that Ebubago has only been operating in Ebonyi. And that I won't talk about it, because what is even doing in Ebonyi, it is not going after their non-government, it's only going after political opponents.
Okay, agreed, yes. PDP and APC, the 2 major parties, they have a zoning formula which they have been applying since the democratic dispensation came into play. But then, what we see playing out today is like it is function of the entire system. All of a sudden, everybody is saying, oh, we don't believe in zoning. We don't want to follow zoning anymore. So something is, definitely wrong in the structure of these 2 political parties. And this is where the Igbo leaders need to go to first and resolve issues. Why is it that they're now saying they don't want to do zoning? What is the problem? So you can't tell me that, we can blame Mr. President for everything, but we can't be blaming Mr. President when the political parties themselves are not doing the right thing.
I don't know about pushing it to the southeast, because obviously those in the south, in the southwest, under the platform of the APC, do not have any obligation to the PDP. So I think it's only a natural thing for them to want to, insist that the president, if a president can emerge from the southwest, should emerge from the southwest. But I think what is now happening is that there are even insinuations that even DC, that has zoned the presidency to the southwest, is beginning to think twice about it. Perhaps they feel that there's a weakness in the south, and that the south has not been able to come up with the required consensus needed to put pressure on the north to give up on the issue of the presidency. But they will be making a terrible mistake if they think that after 8 years under the president, that the North can remain in power for another 8 years. That will be chaos, and that's why people are warning.
It's still Plus Politics now. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, has thrown open its ticket for the 2023 presidential elections. Rising from its 96th National Executive Committee meeting in Abuja, the party said after a very extensive deliberation, the committee aligned with the recommendation of the National Zoning Committee that the presidential election should now be left open. Now, the NEC also added that the party should also work towards a consensus candidate. Now, earlier, the committee led by the Benue State Governor Samuel Ortom had recommended that zoning, even though in the constitution of the party, be jettisoned for the 2023 general elections. Well, joining us to discuss this is Ken Robinson. He is the National Publicity Secretary of PANDEF, and we're also being joined by a political analyst, Dikin Basi Okon. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us.
Thank you for this opportunity. Good evening to you, Mary Ann, and the crew, and good evening, Nigeria. All
right. Well, I'll start with you, Mr. Robinson, because PANDEF has released a statement as a result of the PDP's position on zoning. I know that before now, you and I have had a conversation as to what PANDEF, the Middle Belt Forum, and other, groups have made, about the issue of zoning, not just for the PDP, but all political parties. I remember the last one was about the fact that these groups were not going to support any political party that was not picking a candidate from the South. But here we are, the PDP is saying, come one, come all. What is the position of PANDEF on this particular matter, now that the die is cast?
It's quite unfortunate, and as we contained in the statement issued by PANDEF, and we are speaking in tandem with the African Referral Group, the Middle Belt leaders, and of course, Ohanese Indigo. Recall that earlier we had issued a statement after the Outcomes Committee submitted its report. We issued a strong statement. Leaders of these regions issued a strong statement, including Chief Clark, Chief Ayo Adebanjo, and of course Professor Obiozora and Dr. Opogu British. We issued a strong statement condemning the recommendations of the Outcomes Committee, and it was understood from information we got that the NEC was going to completely adopt that recommendation. Because months back, there have been feelers, and of course, recall that Governor of Bashu State, Governor Bala Mohammed, had also recommended something similar earlier in 2001. So it is unfortunate, and it's a shame that a party that is built on the principles of equity, fairness, and justice, and whose constitution clearly commits itself to the policy of rotation and zoning, in the pursuance of...
Mr. Robinson, are you still there? Mr. Robinson.
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay, we lost you for a second. All right, let me look at what the party chairman had said a few weeks ago. He talked about the fact that the People's Democratic Party would maintain its zoning policy. He said, and I quote, "The PDP has a history of rotating our offices. Anybody who doesn't get it this time should wait after the tenure of whoever will be the next president." But of course, everything has turned and taken a U-turn. This is, like I said in the opening, the governor of Benue State, Governor Ortom, was the first to recommend, apparently, the jettisoning of, zoning in the PDP. What do you think the chances are, or why do you think the PDP has decided to take this route? Being that, again, at some point, the former Senate President, Bukola Saraki, had suggested that the PDP might have to go with a consensus candidate. But if the South is as strong as it should be within the People's Democratic Party and the ticket is being thrown open, shouldn't the South be pushing or pulling its weight to make sure that somebody from their camp, wields that flag at the end of the day? Other than just saying that, if you don't support us, then we don't support you.
Mary, Nigeria is a great country with full of great men and women. No individual should take Nigeria for granted. What the PDP is doing, the leadership of Professor Ayu, Senator Ayu, from inception till date, a script was handed over to them and they're playing out that script. It is clear who the target is.
Who do you think? Who gave the script? And I mean, I'd like to know who you think gave the scripts that you think they're playing.
I have just told you what the Bola Mohammed Committee did in 2021, and as far back as December 2021, we have very strong information that this was the direction they were going to go, and we know the persons involved. And so we have issued a strong statement saying that with this decision that the PDP has done, jettison zoning in favor of whatever they call it, merit or whatever. And we have said that merit, everybody, there is no section in Nigeria that is in want of men of character and integrity that are capable to become president of Nigeria. So the PDP, as it were, has simply dug its own grave. And the insinuations that the PDP needs someone from the north, a northern presidential candidate to win an election, is fallacious, because the PDP has won election with Olusegun Obasanjo and Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. These men are not Northerners. They are from southern Nigeria, and they won against Northerners in various elections in 1999, 2003, and 2011. So the contemplation that it is only a northern candidate that can give the PDP victory is misplaced and is just a hallucination. And we are saying that the PDP has dug its grave, and we will mobilize our people with our interest groups across Nigeria, patriotic Nigerians and well-meaning Nigerians. And we are expecting that the All Progressive Congress will take advantage of this callous indiscretion by the PDP to field the candidates of Southern extraction and sustain their legacy as it were, or demonstrate to Nigerians that they are a truly patriotic, nationalistic party that is committed to the unity, peace, and progress of Nigeria.
Okay. Let me go to you, Dikin Bashir-Kon. What's your position on the route that the PDP has decided to take on the presidential ticket, throwing it open for all who are interested?
Well, thank you very much. For me, it's a welcome development. The more urgent thing this season in the next elections is to afford Nigerians the opportunity of having a new party in government. That is a more urgent need, because presently we are in dire straits as a nation, as a people. The economy is insecure. I mean, you can't lay your hand on anything that is functioning or that is working under the present administration. So for me, whatever strategy that that the PDP has found best to be able to bounce back to power, it's a welcome idea. I welcome it in its entirety. I want the ticket thrown open, but let the strongest man, let the best man take it. That best man, I'm sure, will be the one to, with the best capacity.
Now, but when we talk about best man, or may the best man win within political parties, you and I understand that it's not just about what he has upstairs or his blueprint. It goes beyond that. It goes as far as financial might and how he's able to convince the delegates. So we may end up, or could we end up with someone who's not necessarily what we want in Nigeria today? Mr. Kon, can you hear me? Because I think we have some connection issues with you.
I didn't get you well at all.
Okay, I'm going to ask the question again. You talked about the best man winning, and I'm saying when we're talking about inter-party politics and whatever route it might go, whether it's direct or indirect primaries, and if it's a delegate issue, it comes down to who wields the more financial power and who's able to get more delegates. But then does that boil down to the best man? And when we're talking about the best, we're saying someone who can really steer the ship of this country in the right direction. So really, should we be doing that?
Yes, it should throw up the best man, whether direct or indirect. I believe that the delegates are Nigerians. What I feel is what they feel. What you feel is also what they feel as far as the situation in this country is concerned. So I believe strongly that the delegates of the PDP, they will be out to pick the man that will be able to give us a new country, so to speak. Within 100 days, we should see a trajectory of victory for the people, of success. We should be able to have success stories within 100 days, of the next man that will sit on that on the position of the president. So let's not look at the process or the processes that will meet.
But the processes do matter. Don't the processes matter? Because we see it happen, and it's not just in the PDP, it's the Nigerian way of politicking. The deepest pockets, and the man who's able to get more delegates might end up being the flag bearer. But does that boil down to him being capable of doing the job? That's my question. I'm asking it again.
Processes are important. They matter so much. But my conviction is that because we are in dire straits and we are all feeling this, the bad economy, the problem of insecurity, collapsed education system, dwindling value of the naira, we are all in this boat together as a people. Delegates are Nigerians. They are our brothers and our sisters. They will do their best to ensure that the person who is best prepared, the best of the season, actually gets a ticket.
I just want to take I want to take your mind back. I'm so sorry to speak over you. I will let you speak, but I want to take your minds back to 2015.
The pros and cons of the...
I'm sorry, Mr. Koning, can you hear me? I want to take your mind back to 2015. Nigerians were right exactly where we are today, in dire straits. We wanted anybody else but the president that we had. And here we are in 2022. Same situation, maybe even worse. And we're also saying, oh, and you are actually saying, we're in dire straits, so we need somebody to save us. So must we make the same mistakes? Because it's sounding like it, it's looking like it, it's barking like it, and I'm really wondering if we're about to make that same mistake. Anybody else but who we have sitting in that position.
Can you hear me?
Oh, I think they were having connection problems with you. I'm going to throw the same question back to Mr. Robinson. Mr. Robinson, can you hear me? Would you be able to attempt that question? Because I don't think we can hear Mr. Okon.
I won't try to attempt that question because the issue for us in Pandef and the southern Nigeria is about not particularly who becomes the next president. The next president should come from southern Nigeria. Let us restate the fact that the presidency of Nigeria is not the presidency of the party. And therefore, President Muhammadu Buhari would have spent 8 statutory years in office by 2023. So the next president of Nigeria should come from southern Nigeria. That's the point we're making. Regarding the comments that were made by Mr. Okon concerning the best person at a new country, we cannot have a new country based on inconsistency and dishonesty. We cannot have a new country where people don't respect protocols and arrangements that have sustained the oneness of this country. Zoning and rotation of offices is a panacea for crisis in Nigeria. It has brought about maintain some level of sanity in our politics. And thinking that it is always a particular person. Let us not deceive ourselves. What is going on in PDP is shameful, and I hope that Nigerians will be firm and strong enough to say, look, enough of this, and decide for themselves who should be the next president of Nigeria.
But Senator Ayu has said that. But Senator Ayu has said that anybody who doesn't get it this time, that he's all about fair play. He's all about fairness for. I mean, if you think that the South should be the ones getting the ticket, then let all the Southerners come and show, if they're able to win the votes. And he's saying that if you don't get it this time, then you wait for another tenure where you'd be able to get it.
That is insulting, with due respect to Mr. Party Chairman. That's the man who has been in PDP and has enjoyed offices because of zoning. In fact, the office he occupies now is on the basis of zoning, and it's surprising that he could make such statements. And with due respect to him, it's unacceptable. When we had 12 Northern aspirants in 2018, did anybody tell anybody to wait till 2023? Nobody. People decided that it should go that way, and all the aspirants were from the North. And most of them are running now again. The presidency of Nigeria is not anybody's best fight. Nobody's destined to occupy that office alone. We are 200 and something million Nigerians, and about 50 million Nigerians are adults who are able to preside over Nigeria and direct the affairs of this country. So it's not anybody's best right, and nobody should arrogate himself the right to be president and continue to violate callously and carelessly violate rules and protocols that have been established in the interest of Nigeria. So we will continue to insist that the presidency of Nigeria must rotate to southern Nigeria, and we are using this opportunity again, advise the APC to take advantage of this callous indiscretion by the PDP and demonstrate to Nigerians that it respects and it is committed to equity, fairness, and justice by ensuring that a Southerner emerges as the party's presidential candidate for the 2023 elections.
I think the case that, and I'm not in any way speaking on behalf of the People's Democratic Party or Senator Ayu in the first instance, but he keeps making a case, saying that all they're interested in right now is to save Nigeria, to take the country from the opposition. And he has added that the party will be at liberty to rotate the party ticket as it wishes after it returns to power. In other words, they will be honoring the zoning formula after 2023. Does that give you any form of...
How can you save Nigeria on inconsistency? I ask again. How can you save Nigeria when you're trying to shift the goalposts in the middle of the game? That's what PDP is doing. There is a zoning arrangement. The presidency of Nigeria is the presidency of Nigeria. President Muhammadu Buhari comes from a certain part of the country. And it is unthinkable that anyone will think that we will welcome another Northern for another 8 years or 4 years or 8 years or thereabouts in this country. In a diverse and complex country like Nigeria, we must restate that it is the even sharing of power that brings about cohesion and harmony and unity and progress. And when you begin to violate processes like that, what you're asking is that anybody can do whatever he likes. And it's not good for Nigeria.
I'll ask a quick question before I go back to Mr. Basio Kon. What should Nigerians be prioritizing, and Nigerians including you, Pandef, and every other forum that's out there in 2023? Is it zoning, or is it a president that's capable to take us out of the doldrums? And I'm not in any way asking this question on behalf of the People's Democratic Party, but I'm asking you as a Nigerian, what should be our priority?
Let me answer you by saying that the basis of crisis in any country, in any society, in organization, is poor management of interest. What the PDP is doing now is poor management of interest. And we cannot treat symptoms. The symptoms of the economy, of insecurity, banditry, those are symptoms. Or the unknown gunmen in certain parts of the country. Those are symptoms. What are the causes? It's disaffection, it's disillusion, it's lack of hope. For instance, you can't, there is nothing you can give to me to induce me to go and kill someone or to go and commit some sort of crime or kidnap or something like that. Because I have hope, I have believed in this country, I have believed in myself, I have believed that there is a future for me as a person, as a group of persons that I represent. And so it's difficult to find me in some kind of situation. But we have people in this country who have lost hope, who are completely disaffected, who feel alienated, who don't think that there's anything for them in this country, who even don't think that they belong to this country because of the way things are done. And that is what PDP is doing. We must learn to give a sense of belonging to every section and every sector of this country. Until we begin to treat the main issues and the fundamental issues, we'll be continuing to treat the symptoms, and we see these situations repeat itself. So it's the interest of Nigeria. It's the national interest of Nigeria. It's not parochial interest. It's not the interest of some rapacious politicians or a certain group of people. It should be the interest of the generality of Nigerians as a country. And those interests include security, of course, includes the economy, but most importantly, the feeling that we are one people. The feeling of love, the feeling of that I belong to this country and I want to contribute to the progress, the unity, the stability of this country. That is what is lacking. And what the PDP is doing now is aggravating that sense of exclusion that some persons have over the years perceived that is what is happening in Nigeria. Some people believe that this country is their country, is what they like that will happen, and what other persons feel does not matter. And that arrogance must stop for us to have a country that belongs to all of us.
Well, I want to say thank you to you. Mr. Ken Robinson is of Pandef, and Dickon Basiakone is a political analyst. Unfortunately, we lost that connection with him. But thank you, Mr. Robinson, for being part of this conversation.
Thank you so much, as always, for this opportunity.
All right.
Pandef appreciates it.
Thank you. Thank you all for staying with us, and that's all for tonight. I'm Mariana Cone. Plus Politics returns tomorrow. As we wrap up on the week, we'll still be talking for development. Have a good night.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Hear success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on Plus TV Africa.
Nigeria, by extension, Africa, is faced with a lot of challenges. The growing youth population with little engagement, that is a ticking time bomb. We are a blessed people with diverse culture and highly cerebral minds who have a lot to say. And yes, we are talking. It is important we drive the right conversation that informs, inspires, influences thought and action. If we say there's beauty in our diversity, then let us embrace our diverse culture We must continue to courageously be the voice of transformation as we are the hope for the future. Yesterday's conversations shape today. What are you saying to shape your tomorrow? We know you have a lot to say, and we are here to hear you.
It for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bukky November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Hello there, my name is Akim Adebayo, and here is my good old days story. Once upon a time, this barrack boy had the rare privilege of attending military schools both at the primary and secondary school levels, where paramilitary activities were combined with quality education at next to no cost. I was that young boy who grew up in a nation bound by love, peace, and serendipity, a country where all that was of paramount interest to us as kids was to walk to school, attend assembly, sing in chorus to the national anthem, and pledging to our great country Nigeria to be faithful, loyal, and honest. Growing up in the midst of people of different tribes, religion, and educational background, we had a thing in common. We were all bonded by the calmness, yet disciplined military atmosphere. Those were the days when we make promises to our parents and we strive to fulfill those promises. In my case, I routinely made a promise and vowed to come first in my class at the end of each term, a promise I could fulfill only once. But the commitment to attend that vow was always an inspiration. Mere thought of calling my name and inviting me out for presentation of gifts before my classmates during prize giving day was a continuous driving force for me to always want to be at my best. Those were the good, virtuous days when there were healthy rivalries, unjaundiced academic competition amongst students. How can I forget the numerous handwritten letters and postcards to friends and family? A visit to and fro the post office was always memorable, as you were excited with the suspense of getting a letter from the post office box and ahead of time. Hazard guesses on who the sender could have been. Oh, I remember with nostalgia our mail box, P.O. Box 219, Ipaja Post Office. That was the magic number. Can you recall yours? I wonder if that medium is still as potent as they were then, not with the advent of social media and smartphones. I equally recall those days when the sound of my dad's Peugeot 504 saloon car was a timely warning for comportment, a time to be well behaved and show your homeworks one after the other. It was a time to watch the famous NTA Channel 7 Tejo Show News and summarize the content of the day's newspaper to the man of the house, my father. God help you if the content of those newspapers were not fully digested and accurately summarized. Those were the days when we were taught to be abreast of events in our dear country. To what extent can we say today our children are very current on happenings in our country? I ask. I recall those days, those good days when holidays were times to bond with cousins and uncles, when it was as much fun to go to a cousin in the village and it was for another cousin to pay us a visit and spend the holiday with us in the city. Life then was modest and humble. Such moments to behold were those when my grannies would call me only by my native pet name, and this was always followed by a rendition of the family's panegyrics, known as Oriki in Yoruba. It was always an emotional trigger. The call of Ajani was all I always desired to hear, and would be eager to run errands without getting tired. What a time. How I dream in wishes that few of these moments be brought back and a slice of it granted to the current generation to taste. How can we change the narratives by working towards providing a greater future for the upcoming generation? Instead of reveling on the glorious past, we can do it. Ajani desires a brighter future laced with the solid foundation of the glorious past. Today, I equally identify with Sir Shamore Badijo in his desire to bring back all that is good about our past, with a view to redirecting our paths towards a greater future, not only for us, but the upcoming generation. I remain sincerely yours, Ajani.
So what are the top decisions that the United States considers necessary that Nigeria must take? I like to think of my interactions as conversations, not interviews. And that's why I say asking questions is both an art and a science. Everyone says in Islam you are allowed to have 4 wives. Is it mandatory? The right question enables answers that educate, inform, clarify, and help you, the viewer, to better understand the issue before making up your mind.
Our goal is to reduce from 10 to 2 days the time it takes to register businesses in Nigeria.
Join me every week on this station, Plus TV Africa, and gain exclusive access to my conversations. I'm Angela Ajetumobi.
Hello and welcome to What Are You Saying? #Ways, where we talk about topics in the news as it affects us all. I am Osaiwame Saleh, and today I'm joined by the amazing ladies. Noma Ifanga Isia Fodle. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Well, we're not together yesterday.
Yes. It just feels like a continuation of yesterday.
It just occurred to me that it was the same set yesterday. It's Uti that was supposed to break it.
That was supposed to break it.
We don't know what happened to her, but I'm sure she'll be fine.
Totally.
Yeah, how are you?
Very well.
How are you?
I'm tired.
Aren't we
Tired.
all?
I need to sleep. I'm tired.
I couldn't even hide my bags today. It was that bad. But yes, we're here. And that's commitment, isn't it?
It's a lot of commitment.
Totally.
It's not easy.
In spite of. How would they know?
They will never know.
They will never know.
Issy, how was your day?
It was good. It has been a good one. I can't fault it. Yes, we like Norma usually says, we don't look like what we've been through today.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So yeah, we are here. We're doing what we do best.
Absolutely. So, and there was a resignation. In fact, yesterday the social media and this morning was just awash by different people dropping resignation letters. Say, Omo, you can really resign in this country, you know?
It's a very serious matter.
So we're discussing resignation. Is resignation supposed to be for personal ambition or actually because maybe you have failed in the office that you're occupying? So that's the conversation for today. And here's what we found as today's quote. Some political leaders in the world make big mistakes, but they never resign. Some make a small mistake, but they immediately resign. What makes a political leader to resign or not to resign has something to do with having an honor or not. Those who have honor always choose to the honorable way, and that is resignation. So according to the Vanguard, the president had, as at yesterday, at yesterday's Federal Executive Council meeting, as a FEC meeting, ordered every member of the council who had ambition to contest elective offices in 2023 general election to resign on or before the 16th of May 2022. And then, since then, we've seen a flood of resignation from the affected parties. So it's our ladies' night out, and Norma, Issy, and I will be discussing government officials, and we're asking this question: should resignation be about ambitions or about performance? And when we open our phone lines, we really love to hear your thoughts on this. But first, let's take a break to see what we found in the news. You are still watching Ways Now. May 12th is observed as International Nurses Day across the world to honor the services of nurses. It is the birth anniversary of Florence Nightingale, the English social reformer, statistician, and founder of modern nursing. She was also known as the Lady with the Lamp. She was the founder of modern nursing and was a British social reformer and statistician. The theme for this year's Nurses Day is Nurses, a Voice to Lead, Invest in Nursing, and Respect Rights to Secure Global Health. Many hospitals across the world are observing International Nurses Week from May the 6th to May 12th as part of its several activities, including yoga sessions and seminars are being organized just for the nurses. So, International Nurse Day.
Happy Nurse Day. It's my twin sister's day because she's a nurse and she's very, I don't know how she's so passionate about a lot of things all at the same time. The way she talks about some of her patients and when she's not on call, on the day she's not on call, it's like, where have you been? You know how African Americans behave.
Because they pay and wear.
Well, not just that.
Normal, listen.
There are people who are doing it
Do you know if she were to be in Nigeria? See, the passion might be there, but the energy to move on might not be there.
Absolutely,
because
I agree.
The amount of disrespect we have for our health officials is alarming.
Totally.
People that take care of your health.
So maybe it's the culture here, but we also have people who disrespect people out there. There's some people who are supremacists.
So even when they are sick and you are helping them, they still feel they're on top of you. So they make certain derogatory comments, and because you
if the pay is good, you can curse me all you like.
I would say that
some people won't take it.
Nurses Day for me is, I would associate it with retired nurses. My mother-in-law is one, and her twin sister is also one. Yeah, she's a twin. Yeah. So I have two mother-in-laws. So I'll dedicate it to them, especially those who have actually worked in this profession and served in this profession. I think they are quite passionate about it. Even if they are out of it, they still tend to ask you questions that has to do with your health. So
Absolutely.
Yes. So I would give it to the retired nurses.
Yay. And the ones that are still in
yes,
service.
Totally, yes, absolutely.
All right, so let's see what we found in the news. Number, you're going first? Or is your story ready, Isi?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay, go ahead
Thank
if
you.
it is.
All right, my story is on what happened in Sokoto State, and it's a gory story, and it has to do with mob kills College of Education female student and sets body ablaze in Sokoto over alleged blasphemy. And it was stated that the female student, who is a student of Shehu Shagari College of Education, reported was beaten. Actually, she was beaten to a pulp. And the school authorities tried to rescue her from the mob. What actually started the whole thing was that this young lady actually was asked by her peers in the classroom and said, how come you passed your exams? Usually, what would be your answer? Oh, is God or is Jesus? Thank Jesus, I got it. And that was what actually aggravated everything. And they said she should take her words back. And when she refused to take her words back, of course, it caused an uproar, and everybody came together and attacked her. And she was set ablaze at the end of the day.
Oh my God.
So just when I was
in school.
Just when I was sitting and trying to, sort out some things, I saw a video that surfaced. Why am I all emotional this week? And it brought back memories because
of what happened in the north.
I've been in the north and I've seen people get burnt alive.
Absolutely.
I've seen people get burnt, and you see, at the end of the day, you see what's it called, pigs eating their dead bodies and dogs and all of that. So there's a boy on, if they can find it on, I think it's on Linda Ikeji's blog that I saw it. Yes, I've seen the video where the boy was saying that either Linda Ikeji, but it's on the blog now. Yeah. Where the boy was showing the matchbox.
That was used to set her
he said
ablaze.
he was the one that killed her, and he set her ablaze. He said it in Hausa language. Nini nakashita.
Oh my goodness.
The Ashana did not. So the Ashana is a match. This is the match I used to set her ablaze. So if there is any level of humanness anymore in our leaders, they will fish that boy out.
Yes.
They will fish that boy out. Because you
this
see,
one has
the
already
level
been
of
programmed.
impunity that goes on in this country, like you think it is okay for you to take another human being's life. And you have the boldness to go on camera to say that this is the matchbox you used, you were the one that set her ablaze.
That is one troubled young man.
This is not issue of troubling.
No.
See, let me tell you what laws do. You know what? Hold on, Issy.
Of course.
This
He's
is
been programmed to.
This is what laws, right? Laws and implementation of laws does. Even if you have madness, it will curtail your madness.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Because if you know that there is repercussion for the actions that you take, that madness will be curbed. That somebody has the effrontery and the audacity to go on camera, and he was showing the matchbox, and he was saying that he was the one that killed her.
Somebody's child.
Somebody else's child.
Somebody's daughter.
A citizen of your country.
Oh. He was probably made to believe that he was fighting a good cause.
You see, that's where the mindset still comes into play. How are they thinking? And it's supposed to be an educational institution where they are supposed to have a mindset.
A lot of people go through school, but the school doesn't go through them.
Yes, I agree with you. And we also should look at this from another perspective. Isn't Nigeria supposed to be a secular state?
Oh, well,
so
that's
it's not even an issue of so this is a clear example of what we're talking about, failure. Somebody
the
should
system has obviously failed because
should
for
say,
things
no,
acts like this to be performed and nothing has been, it hasn't raised eyebrows enough for an investigation to begin concerning immediately. Then there's it's obvious
if the government
that our
cannot
system
find that
has
boy,
failed.
arrest that boy, and charge him for murder, then I know that we are not in a country and we do not have a government. It's as simple as that. Norma, your story.
Well, my story, just to cool things down a little bit, astronomers revealed the first image of black hole at Milky Way Center. So I went all the way to space at this point because I couldn't even find something that was something worthy to talk about. But today it's interesting that an international team of astronomers unveiled the first image of a supermassive black hole at the center of our own Milky Way galaxy, a cosmic body known as Sagittarius A star. Wow. Right? So astronomers believe nearly all galaxies, including our own, have these giant black holes in their center where light and matter cannot escape, making it extremely hard to get images for them. But this one in particular was interesting because they were able to get images that we can readily see, right? The image produced by a global team of scientists known as Event Horizon Telescope Collaboration is the first direct visual confirmation of the presence of this invisible object and comes 3 years right after that. I think the last time they saw something like that was in 2019, where the very first image of a black hole from a very distant galaxy. So it's interesting that there's a lot of activity going on outside the hustle and bustle of the Earth. And this black hole is, thankfully, it's not close enough because I hear that the gravity, the force around it can literally suck in every single thing within the orbit. So we're thankful that it's far away. The distance, it's distant enough for us to see it, but not have direct impact on the globe, on the world.
So
that's a good
one. Our former Senate President Bukola Saraki. Why I took this story? I just did laugh. Politics.
I saw it.
He says, "Oh, it's not me that said it. That he will build 500,000 housing units annually if elected as president." That's what he's saying. He says, "I will deliver 500,000 affordable housing units annually. I will create a viable platform to protect the African continent. I will be president for all because I represent the Nigerian identity. I will be the bridge between the North, South, Muslims and Christians." That's what he said. So you see these kinds of vague
2023,
promises.
that was the first thing that came to my mind. 2023, we're still having this conversation.
Do you understand? So it's not even only that in 2023 that we're having this conversation. Vague promises like how? So you are talking about 500,000 housing units. How about we talk about people to be able to feed 3 square meals every day? Who are the people that would be able to buy this housing that you are talking about? Are you giving the housing to the people for free? Are they going to be saying, okay, you know what, let us mop up all the homeless people? What's the strategy? What is the current housing deficit that we have today in Nigeria? What are those numbers? You can't just wake up and think it is a feel-good thing to say that you want to build 500,000 housing. We are tired of this kind of promises. It is really ridiculous.
Absolutely.
We need leaders that would say, you know what, XYZ are the problems. Because before somebody will even think of a roof over there, they will first of all think of what to put inside their tummy. It is whoever that is alive that can stay inside a house.
Absolutely.
Right? So what are the current challenges that Nigeria is facing, and how do we mitigate or how do we bridge that gap? That's the kind of conversation we're having. Don't come with this kind of promises because this is already dead on arrival. A lot of Nigerians are tired of this kind of promises. I'm just saying this in case future people as aspirants wants to start to come up with this 500. Why? It sounds good to the ears, but 500,000, is that the deficit that we have in terms of housing? That's number one. And number two is, are you giving those houses for free? How many homeless people do we have in this country? How do you intend, to solve those problems?
What's the payback plan?
On that note, Maybe we should start to resign. I'm most of the type of resignation letter. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us now. Minister for Transportation, Rotimi Amechi. I think the Minister for Niger Delta, Godswill Akpabio. Labour and Employment, Christine Ngige. Science and Technology, and Innovation, Ogbonnaya Onu. Minister for Education, Emeka Nwajuaba. Justice Minister, Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, are some of the cabinet members that were affected when the president ordered all members of his cabinet and appointees aspiring for electoral offices to resign on or before Monday, the 16th of May, 2022. Others include the Minister of State, Mines and Steel, Uche Oga, who is running for governorship position in Abia State, and the Minister of Women Affairs, Pauline Talen, who declared her ambition to contest for the senatorial seat in Plateau State, right? So Victor Tamhemba, Acting Director, Executive Director of Raising New Voices, said, being in government and pursuing political ambition has a negative influence on governance. He said governance and performance will ultimately suffer as the ministers are busy roving the country, consulting and seeking support for their aspirations while the primary responsibilities are neglected. This is similar to what elected officials do when they are seeking re-election. At that point, there is the negligence of duty and responsibility as a result of governance. Governance suffers, he added. Now, we are asking a not so obvious question regarding the reason for resignation from political office. And tonight we're asking if resignation of the government officials should be about their ambitions or it should be about their performance. That's the question for tonight. Please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. You can also tweet at us at Wayshow Africa on the hashtag Wayshow. So, this is a very interesting conversation because you know how we always say that in Nigeria you can never find anybody that will say, you know what, I'm done. Only can I even count how many people have resigned to say, you know what, I don't think
non-performance.
I'm not interested in this. This is all no. It's not working for me. This is not what I signed for. This is not what I bargained for. It's not working. I'm not going to hit my targets. You know what? Because of that, I just tender my resignation.
Absolutely.
We don't really hear that. But what we hear often is that we say, I wasn't given the chance to execute my duties, but you stay there. You did not say, oh, let me resign and go. Then all of a sudden now, everybody is running for president. Everybody's seeking electoral positions. And it's not commonplace. You just open the news, you see this person resign, this person resign, this person resign. So it just got me thinking that shouldn't resignation, right? Even the president ordering a resignation because they're pursuing. So are you saying that governance is not as important as political ambition? That it is okay for you to put an ultimatum to say resign because you're running for an office, but people that have failed, especially Minister for Education, let me just single that one out. That has failed woefully because we can see what the educational state is like in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
Do you understand? We have seen those kind of failures. So it was not okay for you to say, you know what, you're not doing your job, resign. But because you are running for a political office, then resign. I'm perplexed.
Let me step in by giving us a brief intro into this whole fiasco. I think what is performance basically? Performance is you having that interest to do your task and perform it without any reservation, isn't it?
Performance is
to
excellent.
the best, yes, to the best of your knowledge and your ability. It could be below standard, it could be above standard, but the bottom line is you have performed the task. How did you perform the task is left for others to actually judge you on it. Now, what about ambition? ambition is the strong desire for you to achieve something, to get something, basically. So what is the desire here? Based on what your premise on what motivated our leaders or our individuals who are vying for the position, it is based on the fact that they have this strong desire to achieve their goals, which isn't to perform a task. It is basically to do what? It is basically to achieve their desire, which is to be the president of the country in whatever capacity they can. Now, in this context, would we say that they've gotten some level of principles or some level of honor or some level of integrity in getting their job done? That is left for the people of Nigeria to answer. That is my intro.
Namefenge. And there was a resignation.
I'm thinking, and you know, when I saw that, I'm asking myself, what is the motive? What is this a strategy because I am more focused on my ambition than on performance? And this is what our politicians, I will probably leave for them to answer, even though I'm not sure the majority of them are willing to answer the question. Because what service? When you talk about public offices, you are appointing people who have a desire to perform for its citizens, isn't it? Absolutely. You are serving the people. But from all of this, let me borrow Isi's language, fiasco that is going on. It is obvious that this is all about ambition. Totally. We have a lot of ambitious politicians. Look at the number of people who came out even after the fee was increased to 100 million. You have people willing to stake and call all their groups of friends and associations who are supporting them and funding them with 100 million for a form, a nomination form.
Not the campaign.
And I haven't seen this level of commitment and drive when it comes to your office, whether as the Minister of Labor or the Minister for Education. We haven't seen you being this passionate. And I'm wondering, government officials, you want to resign. What is the motive behind your resignation? I think it's because you have the ambition to become a president. Maybe somewhere in your dreams or in your, your circle of influence, you've been told that you have what it takes to become the president. And I've yet to see who is asking questions. I think it's only the vice president that I've seen put out some write-up about why he has intentions to lead. He's been in government. He understands the terrain. And he believes that now is the right time for him to come out at this level, to serve the people of Nigeria. That is his own statement. I'm yet to see any more statements. But from all of this that is going on, it is obvious that any resignation that is going on presently is not because they have the interest of Nigerians at heart. It is not because they want to change the situation of ASU strike, or people that have not been paid for months, or the fuel situation, the fuel crisis that is going on, or the
food insecurity,
general insecurity in the state, Who is saying something about it? Who is doing something about it? When we see what you are doing, and then you say, I think that in this capacity, I can even take it further by becoming your representative in the area of the presidency, then it can make sense to the Nigerian citizen that, yes, we have seen a track record. Yes, we've seen a history that this person means well for the people. But we haven't seen any of that. All we're seeing is resignation so that my political ambition can come to pass.
Hallelujah.
Praise the Lord.
So I took the liberty. My Ebu Omolola, I told her to send me a few resignations that we've seen globally. When you hear government officials resigning abroad, you know, it's a completely different ballgame from Nigeria. So there was one that says the Sri Lanka Prime Minister resigns as government cracks down on protests over economic crisis and gross mismanagement. Yeah. That's one. 4 Russian government officials resign as war-included sanctions bite. Sri Lanka Prime Minister, okay, I think I talked about that one, resigned, including 4 lawmakers. And there's one that struck me. UN, the head of UN agency resigns as questions arise about loans. So you hear that there is a shady deal going on, some kinds of underground conversations and all of that. And you just see the person say, I'm resigning, I'm all of that. But you see, when this resignation started happening in Nigeria, first of all, I was shocked that we can actually
resign.
Somebody can actually type a resignation letter in this country. Yeah. It's not possible. It's either you are kicked out or you're not re-elected and all of that.
Yeah.
But it now got me a lot more worried. So the fact that you haven't performed all these years did not even prick your mind to say, you know what, I think I've failed. This was not what I promised when I was going into this office. So for that singular reason, I want to step back. That did not come up. Every resignation that we're seeing now is because somebody somewhere wants to pursue a political ambition. Some have even refused to resign. Do you understand?
The governor of Ebonyi State, I believe, he had some law case and he was still, he said he would still be governor in spite of, and he has a pending case in court.
So you see, that's where another thing, that's where I talked about, if you recall what I said earlier, I talked about integrity, honor, and principles. If you do not have the principles, which I think, in quote, that it is questionable in terms of our political class. If you do not have the principle, would you have the interest to actually step down because of the fact that I did not perform, because of the fact that my track record is not speaking for me? Integrity also comes to play.
Of course.
It plays a huge role. And we know that this is totally lacking in the political class. So they cannot be, they won't have that conscience that, oh, I didn't perform my task up to par and I didn't do my job. And let's look at the educational sector, for example. You know, the education sector is
ASUU is on strike.
Is on a total downward
spiral. A whole minister for education, you are resigning.
Where did they
you want to go and pursue
minister for labor as well?
You are resigning that you want to go and pursue, what's it called, a political ambition. Labor minister is resigning to pursue a presidential race.
Yes.
People have been on strike. What is the future of any nation? Go and check the educational sector.
Oh, yes.
If you see how good the educational sector is, you would know that, okay, this country has a future. As it stands today, what is our future as a country? Then we are now seeing, I mean, so much resignation, but it's not because I failed at my point, my line of duty.
Yes.
But no, it's because I want to pursue another political. So should we even trust these people
in the first place?
Can we even trust them?
They're telling you that when you've trusted them with little, so when you entrust them with much more,
with Williams Chambers video.
when you entrust them with much more, they will perform. It is unfortunate, and I'll piggyback off Isi said, because of integrity. Our politicians or leaders lack integrity. First and foremost, when one resigns, like you rightly said, it's because I have failed on the promises that I have said, or the things that I said that I will be able to do within the time frame of my appointment. And where I see that I have failed, then that means I am not worthy to occupy this office or this position. And the honorable thing to do in honorable climes
is to step down.
Is to be able to step down, at least with a sense of what's the word?
Dignity.
And the little dignity that is left of you, you just respect yourself and calm down.
I think there is
but
a way
no,
did that.
we like it from all of the theatrics that I've been seeing. It's obvious that our people have no shame. You know, you say something and now it makes sense, a whole lot of sense to me. You can't shame the shameless.
You can't, no way.
You cannot shame the shameless. As long as, for the effrontery to step out to say, vote for me as president.
Shamelessly.
When you are given an appointment which you woefully failed to perform your duties in. How would you expect, and I mean, it just still
some
ties
argue
back.
that they have performed.
In their minds. Is it not the people that will give you that feedback? How do you give yourself feedback that I have done well? Feedback as a Toastmaster. Feedback we say is the breakfast of champions. Yeah. When I give a speech, am I the one going to tell myself that yes, I did well? No, I have to hear from somebody else because there are what they call blind spots. There are areas that I may not be able to see well, that somebody from where they are, their perspective can see clearer than myself, and they'll be able to tell me, oh, you missed it in here, in A, B, and C.
Absolutely.
But I will finish and I will tell myself, oh, I did an amazing job. And that's it. That my word is final. Then how can we make progress when we cannot? I mean, at this point, I even want to applaud to an extent when Governor Fashola there was this panel that he used to have where even people would ask questions. I don't.
Town hall?
Yes, the town hall meeting where people can ask questions. Okay, what are you, as in this area, these are the areas we're having problem. What have you done about it? And then he takes up all of that and then he goes back to the drawing board, say, okay, what are we doing? So that by the next town hall meeting, we have
a report
to give the people to say, okay, this is how far we've gone. We are not expecting you to accomplish all of your plans 100%. But like my father would say, be seen to be trying.
On that note, let's take a break. I want to open our phone lines. Please, I want to hear your thoughts on this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, so if you just tuned in, it's our ladies' night out. You should be seen to be trying. And we are discussing government officials. So, should resignation be about ambitions or performance? And please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 803-84663. You can also tweet at us at WayShowAfrica1 with the hashtag WayShow. And our phone line is now open. The number to call is 07025007749. That's the number to call. Do ensure, please, turn off the volume of your television set so we can hear ourselves. You know, you see what that writer said when I was introducing the topic, when he talked about distractions, right? Yeah. Even before, see, if you even notice, right, it's 2023 that the election, governance stopped in 2021.
Totally.
Because you see what politicians do, they plan 2 years ahead stretch for the next election. We already know that governance is suffering as it is today. Anything you're doing is almost at a halt because everybody's energy and everything is focused on 2023, the general elections, right? Yeah. Already that is even suffering. Then you now come and crown it with the insult, like it's like pouring salt on an open wound, right? You haven't even done your job. You know, most of the people that are coming out to say they want to run for elective offices, most of them have questions to answer when it comes to the performance. So
they hide under the guise
of their the job that was given to them, their job description, right? And you then wake up and say that it's like you know how it. I don't know how it feels. Like you know that I have failed so well. Then now, so your resignation was not because I didn't do well. Your resignation is because I want to now go further for another position so that we would elect you.
So what does that tell us?
Wow, that's boldness.
And that's selfishness too.
No, it's boldness.
It's also selfishness.
They will not tell you it's selfish.
Because Because why is it selfishness? Because it is not about what the people want. It's not about service. It's not about the people. It's all about them. And at the end of the day, like I stated earlier, principles.
So what's the way forward?
Also comes
while
to
we're
play.
talking about this matter, because you see, even with the people that are current governors of states that are picking up forms to say they want to run for presidency and all of that, that one in itself is an issue because the governance of that state is on hold. A lot of those states are suffering, you know, in terms of governance-wise. Because the truth is, your attention, and that's the truth about politics, your attention is drawn, or you have to do a lot of visitations, you have to do a lot of consultations, you have to, so what is happening, you know, to those people that are currently like governors and all of that, that say they picked up forms to run for elections? Everything is suffering. So how do we draw, where do we start to draw this line? And if at all there would be a resignation, right? Where do we as a people start to demand those kinds of resignation?
We as a people. Are we as a people? The question here is, I feel that we need to understand that we as a people, we need to come together and understand the dynamics of governance and our political leaders. Like Dr. We had him on the show. He said that the leaders are our servants. They are supposed to be leading us and serving us at the same time. So we need to understand that they are answerable to us, not the other way around. Where did they get the monies from that they're using? Where did they get the monies from?
Their committee of friends.
Committee of friends, in quote. And another thing we should also take into cognizance is this, that we should be mindful of where I'm losing my trail of thought. But we should be mindful of the fact that these people do not have our interest at heart.
Absolutely.
We should be totally
Their
mindful
actions
of
already
this.
say that.
Yes.
Let me take our first caller for the evening, Dr. Adewoye from Adamawa State. Wow. That's a far place. Thank you for calling. You're live. Go ahead.
Yes. Following the trend of this president's directive for the ministers to
resign.
In the first instance, they're supposed not to even wait for the president to give the directives.
The ultimatum.
They're supposed to know the right thing to do. If they are confident of themselves, they should resign. And then put themselves forward. If they are credible enough, then they will be voted in. And as all of us know, most of these people that are coming up, many of them are not credible. But let's put our hands and see, cross our fingers and see what is going to happen. We hope the best for this country.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Adewale.
We cannot fold our hands.
You're saying, he's saying something. I think only very few people had resigned before the president gave that directive, right? Yes. You know, I think, I can't remember who and who now, but I knew. Yeah, I knew some had resigned before that directive came. But I'm even saying that, you know, even the president himself, let's come back to the president, right? As a leader, even if the people, you know, because they say that these guys are not in touch with the citizens, you're not in touch with the reality and all of that. But you are feeling, you know, you're feeling the pulse of the people. And, you know, in some sectors, especially education. No, because it is really, really hurting. Education has the capacity.
Really feeling the pulse of the people?
Education has the capacity to transform any human being.
Totally.
Because it is knowledge that eventually gives you the capacity to be able to earn, you know, and become valuable to yourself and to your society, right? So even if nothing, let's focus on two things, healthcare and education. We've seen that there is consistency in the failure of whoever is supposed to be in charge of those ministries. You as a president, you did not call for the resignation of those people while there was busy Now, how many months are we going on for the ASU strike? I think 3 months or something.
Yeah.
You didn't
And
call for a
entering another 3
resignation.
months.
But because now they are running for an elective office, like does it not even tell us that we are in a much bigger mess? That you didn't see any reason to ask these people to leave that office so you could put a credible person. But it is because they are running for political office? Maybe I'm the one overthinking this.
But recently, it was in the news too that the son who is representing the president who is asking for 6 months,
that son should just hold his thoughts.
His tenure to be extended
so that
for another 6 months,
he can fight.
So that he can tackle
Thank you
security.
for bringing that up. We are coming back. Let me take youngest old man. Thank you for calling.
Yes, good evening.
Hi, youngest old man.
How are you?
I'm good.
Welcome. Thank you.
All right, that's good. Now well done, eh?
Thank you.
You see, I just want to personally tell you some things that you don't understand. This country now cruise, you understand? We're just enjoying the ride. Anyhow, no matter how the driver bad reach, the destination will be focused on. A country where the leaders of tomorrow have been prepared, while the followers of tomorrow too have been prepared. At least now, if you watch, as is on strike, some people they somewhere they are picking the school, and then be the leaders of tomorrow. Those where they on strike, and then be the followers of tomorrow. No one like incapacitation. I rather they speak the English on the roll call. You see, it pains me a lot when you force people to do the right thing. You understand? I really envy the guy that resigned 3 months ago. Is it since April or something like that, according to the president? I envy his energy, and he knows what he wants. But some people with the critical time that we are in this country, you understand? And somebody is still busy paying 100 million naira to buy form. Why the place you are heading? Let's assume now I'm a blind man and they tell me to go and vote. I will now come and vote somebody that even practically where you are, where you are leading as a leader per se, is having crisis. You know, I don't know what that means. It's just like when your house is on fire, you are going to a neighbor's house to catch rats or something like that. You know, sometimes it baffles me in this country. I don't even know if at all they are in tune to another TV. They watch another thing, not what we see on daily basis. So these things, it makes me go somehow. And you know, yesterday you guys were talking about Genevieve and so on, and I'm like, in this country, if you are normal, you are not normal. You can't be normal in this country. If you are normal in this country, you are not normal as an individual, because basically a lot of things is even making me go mad in this country. These things are happening. Look at, okay, you know, they've technically forgotten those Kaduna plane, whatever thing. And the guy in charge that's supposed to even resign is buying form. You understand? So things happen in this country that when I check other countries, I just be like, God, what is your plan for us? Can you just give us a just simple vision of what you have for us in the future, so that people like us will not lose hope?
Thank you so much.
Seriously, this country now cruise. The thing no sweet at all. You know what's happening, Sha? We now have the one at the try on a bit, and I didn't force my small.
Thank you, youngest old man. You know. Youngest old man, they talk about destination. At this rate, will we have a destination when we continue like this, where everybody thinks I can do anything and, you know,
get away with it?
Get away with it. Because that's basically what you're saying, right? Because you talked about that son that was asking for a 6-month extension for the president so that he could, you know, finish the...
what he hasn't
done for 8 years. Like, so, okay, so what are the parameters? You know what? Let's even calm down. Is it that our parameters for success, do you understand, or failures, our parameters as for performance, is it that it's so bad? Because some people would resign at the very second or third month when they see that the thing is not working. But let me take Solomon from Abuja, then I'll come back to you ladies. Thank you for calling. Solomon, you're live.
I'm still there.
Go ahead, you're live.
Yeah, I'm Solomon, calling from Abuja.
Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, you are live. Go ahead, Solomon.
Okay. Is this issue there? They still trying you. Like here. I'm talking like here about this ASO strike. Like the other guys are saying, when the students are on strike, the president does not even order those people, like Minister of Education, to resign if anything that is happening like this. He did not say anything about it, but now that he has putting interest on becoming a president, is the time that he's asking them to resign. Well, I know it's right. He's supposed to tell them to resign, but there's next time that he's supposed to ask them to stop. He refused to tell them to ask them to resign. What kind of country is this at myself?
Thank you.
If I just down like this, it's time to think like that.
Thank you so much, Solomon. Thank you, Solomon. The voice, the feedback is really is a lot. So for me, I don't even know where to go from this, because what are the parameters for performance? What are the parameters for success? How do we say that this particular thing, this person has succeeded in their deliveries? What are their KPIs? I bet they call them. No, not KPI. Their job description. Yeah. Maybe if we check what they were given to do, maybe that's exactly what they did in those offices. Because if you want to key performance, yes, indicators. Sorry, the KPIs. I was right. KPI, yes. The key performance indicators for each ministry, for instance, what are they, and what is their score points on those? But let me take Michael. I think we have another. Today is today. Michael, you're live. Please go ahead.
I can see that opportunity has been presented for us as Nigerians to decide our fate again. Mm-hmm. We had the opportunity last 4 years, last 8 years, and we actually missed it out. But this time around, another opportunity has been presented. Mm-hmm. So I think everybody should actually, stand up to this reality. Now, what should we do to salvage this situation? Because hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. So to salvage this situation so that we don't find ourselves in another mess again for the next 4 years. As Nigerians, we have our PVC in our hands to vote the right people that have the pedigree, the clear record, the people of questionable characters who can stand the test of time and understand that governance is about delivering good service to the citizenry, not about embezzling money, not about selfish and personal interest. So these are things that we need to understand. That we have to decide our fate now as Nigerians. A critical issue was raised at the floor of the National Assembly about electronic voting, which would have been a viable platform of preventing electoral malpractice. Which would have been a viable platform of preventing rigging in elections. And that thing died down. That critical issue died down at the floor of the National Assembly. And Nigerians never did anything about it. And we have rights, like there should be a kind of referendum where the citizens can vote to decide a particular issue and say, okay, this is what we want. These people that are there, we put them there. We voted them there. We elected them there. So they don't call representative.
But what are the, so thank you so much. Thank you, Michael. So that's the question I'm asking, that what are the KPIs that we're expecting from these people in their ministries? Because if we do not even know what they are supposed to be doing, how do we then call for their resignation? Because I feel in answering this question, resignation should be based on the fact that you under-delivered.
On your performance.
Do you understand?
If I may add to that, Uwa, we need, I think, education, but not the formal education, maybe even in the formal sector. In the formal setting, we need to educate Nigerians, right? People who know, how much of it are you talking about? In your conversations, how are you educating and enlightening people about their choices, about the politicians or leaders who are aspiring to come up to be their next group of leaders? In the markets, when we're having these conversations, this should be an everyday engagement. I don't know how they picked it out of our education system, where history, we no longer have history where we can tell young people to say, these were people who failed us in the past. these were the things that happened, this was what happened, this and these are the, so that in the future they can ask the right kind of questions. So when we're engaging, it's very important that we begin, and every Nigerian, and this I'm saying to every Nigerian, every conversation that you're having, talk about it. If you know what the right thing is, educate people. There are a lot of people who don't understand these things. They think it's only, oh, when they send them rice and this and that. I was listening, I don't know if I mentioned that, I was listening to a radio station, and they were asking the question, what is your vote worth? And people were saying, oh, if they pay me 500 million now, somebody said 500,000. People were putting, some have said that they've even sold their votes. That's how bad the situation is. But when people understand, it is not just about selling your vote. The implication, when you sell the vote, this is, you are selling the future of generations.
So the question I'm asking is, when should we start to shout to say, you know what, you are not performing? Because you see, the common theatrics in politics in this country is that if a new dispensation comes in now, like tomorrow now, even if it's under the same party, that they re-elect the president, you say, it was the previous administration. They begin to do blame. They use one whole year up to 2 years to be doing blame game. No, it's not damage. Blame game. Blame game, yeah. That it was because of this person, this one, you know, and all of that. And because we see this play out all the time. So if we want to start to hold our leaders accountable and want to hold them based on performance, right? How do we even go about it as a people?
I don't know. He made mention of a referendum. Sorry, if I may quickly come in there. I mean, there are these things that they sign up, petitions that they sign up. I think maybe
those things work in this country.
Some of them do. It's how often, how consistent, how persistent are we? It still boils down to education. If people do not know that they have power, as little as signing a petition saying, this is not what we want, and we are able to present it in court to say, number of millions of people have said that enough is enough about this particular situation. But because they do not know, and there's nobody talking about it, then what continues to cry will continue to cry.
Let me hear your thoughts.
Norma has said the main thing, which is awareness. Awareness plays a huge role in all of this. If we are not aware of the job description
and the rights that we have as a people,
the KPI of each
political
appointee, as well as we knowing our rights as individuals or as the electorate. Thank you. As electorate, we will continue to make the same mistake. However, we also need to understand this, that we have a government that would stand for us when we stand for ourselves. If we do not stand for ourselves as a people, then they will not listen to us.
Absolutely.
So we need to step up on our
Mama, you have a comment?
Yes, I do have a comment. It says, good evening, my dear beautiful sisters of what are you saying, ways. Concerning government officials resigning, it should be about performance. Anyone that is ineffective in an office should be advised to resign, whether they like it or not. It should be done with honor and dignity to command respect. Sister Norma said it all. We cannot shame the shameless.
Yes.
Because people think that it has to be them and no one. It is not a do or die affair. Take, for instance, another case of the Minister of Education resigning to pursue his political career. It is wrong. Now, ASU is on strike, which is wrong if the minister is doing his job well. Education and healthcare is very vital. What pains me is that the youths are at home instead of at school. Sister Uwa, nice to see you smile again. I missed it yesterday. My name is Daniel Ilo. Ways regular fan. Thank you so much, Daniel.
Okay, so I was just going to say that, you remember there was a bill that was passed in, how did they say that thing, in the House, that yes. Somebody was suggesting that, please, let's ensure that all political appointees and everybody, they make sure that their children school in Nigeria. Where is that bill today? They threw it out, you know. So it means that we really don't have, but Isi, you have a final comment, and let's wrap up this conversation.
Okay, just a minute. Let me dig it out. All right, and it says, just a minute. Okay, Good evening, ladies. I want to appreciate you all for all your efforts, intriguing topics, and contributions. Concerning today's topic, I think there should be a policy that bans every government officials from contesting any position. You just said it all.
That one no go work. Who is that? That one no go work.
But you know, however,
quickly, we have run out of time.
Yes, it is in the Civil Service Commission that no federal, official is allowed to actually contest for any kind of political position if you are still in office. So they're supposed to have stepped out before.
All right, thank you so much, ladies. Thank you to everyone that contributed. Now, before we go, ensure you follow us on Instagram at Wayshow Africa, on Twitter at Wayshow Africa 1. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and more importantly, follow all our engagements on social media. If you missed today's quote, here it is again. Some political leaders in the world make big mistakes, but they never resign. Some make a small mistake, but they immediately resign. What makes a political leader to resign or not to resign has something to do with having an honor or not. Okay. Those, I'm trying to find where I stopped. Honor or not. All right. We'll see you tomorrow. At least you read it. Bye. We're rolling my two.
There are two words I think shouldn't go together: sibling and rivalry. Siblings presupposes relationship, it's family, brother, sister. Then rivalry, unhealthy competition. How can they go together? And yet the reality is that there is sibling rivalry, and there has always been from the time of Cain and Abel. And so I asked myself, how did it arise? Abel was a different kind of person from Cain. And the suggestion is really that he was loved more. So did that create an undertone that led to Cain taking his life? But Abel himself was also a generous person. So it comes from two sides: who we are and how we're treated. This is what we're going to be talking about today in the lounge: sibling rivalry. The usual, dare I say, suspects are here. Ebu, Omoye, Saudat. But we have a guest today, Shirley Ann Bello. And she has 11 siblings. So how do they live together? I'm Ifeoma Idigbe. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the lounge. It's TW Conversations, and you know that we talk about things that don't necessarily concern women, but people. And sibling rivalry is a very, very tricky subject. It's very sensitive. And I know that growing up, we knew the people we considered to be mommy or daddy's favorites. And I don't know how that shaped us. And that's why we're here to have this conversation, so that we can reflect on those things together. So Shirley Ann, you have 11 siblings, and you are the fourth.
Yes,
so it means you have 6 other siblings, 6 younger siblings, which is more siblings than I have. Mm-hmm. And I know what it was like growing up with that many. I have 4 siblings, right? Tell us a bit of what growing up was like.
Well,
I would say it was like every other regular family, to be honest with you, because when people hear so many siblings, 11, everyone's like, how do you live? Do people climb the car and all that? Do you have space inside the car? How many cars do you use and all that? It's not that, honestly, it's not that scary. I would say it's like every other normal family, maybe just twice, but it's the same thing. Contrary to what people believe, we're actually all really close, very, very close. So growing up, we used to do a lot of things together. We were each other's friends. Of course, everybody had their own friends, but we did mostly everything together. Yeah. So we just grew up with that togetherness mentality, that whole family thing. So. Yeah, that's basically that. I don't.
What causes rivalry? Yeah, what causes rivalry amongst siblings?
I think that first of all, we're born a certain way. Some people are more sensitive than others. Some are more jealous than others, or envious, or whatever word you want to apply. Some need more love and care than others, and that's from...
I didn't need no love and care. I thrived on no love and no care. And so one day I said to my mama, Mama, I know you love me, but I want you to show it some more, please.
You're not serious. So there's one, your own side, and then there's the side of how people treat you, or how you perceive they're treating you. I think it's easier in a family with lots of people for there not to be obvious favoritism. I think that in a family with just 2 or 3 people, maybe it's more noticeable. I suspect. That's what I think.
Normal.
Is it normal?
Is it a normal thing?
But it has to be normal. They're people, first of all, before your siblings.
Okay.
You're people.
Yeah.
And so you have reactions and emotions like other people. It's just that because you're blood relatives, we think that the things that apply to other people shouldn't apply to you, but it will. And if it's a polygamous home, then there's an introduction right there. Of we're slightly different and competition. The basis of rivalry is competition. It's unhealthy. Yeah. It's like I have to be better than you, and so there's that competition that goes on. And sometimes parents themselves promote it. Yeah. Because they think it's the way to make their children competitive in the real world. And so they do it by giving gifts to particular ones when you've done well. And so you create something that is often unhealthy.
So I've been thinking about my siblings. I have 2 older brothers, an older sister, then a younger brother. And I'm checking all the relationships. And so my sister and I are right next to each other. There's 2 years between us. And I really wanted to be like her a lot, in a lot of ways. I wanted to be like her. And we just, I don't know how, I don't know what my parents did or didn't do, but we just never compared ourselves to one another. However, there were times when I felt treated badly because, for example, as a middle child, you're never correct, If I had an argument with my older sister, then I had no respect. But if beat my younger brother for being disrespectful or something, I was taking the law into my hands. Or if we had, an argument, my father would say, for example, my dad, I remember once, my younger brother said to me, I was an idiot or something like that. And I go stomping to my dad's room. I said, Daddy, Nosa called me an idiot. My dad said, my dad is the king of sarcasm. My father says, are you an idiot? No, I'm just asking you a question. Are you an idiot? Of course I'm not an idiot. Said, so why are you angry? Is that all? I expected the rod to come down. And one day I remember crying to my mom, when am I ever right? When am I ever correct? When is it never my fault? If it's this one, then this is it. And if it's no, sir, then... And my mom... Yeah, my mom just never, paid me. She just ignored me. But that happened, and we've grown up and we're adults, and it's not a big deal. Like, we know how to handle one another. But I don't know how. So this is a normal. I imagine that this scenario, this picture I've painted is a normal situation in families. Yes. Where does it now turn rancid? When does it now become...
It does turn rancid for so many people, because I know that scenario and how it has damaged a lot of children when they grow up, especially when we don't validate our children. Yes. Because every child wants to be validated. The first person that should love you, the first person that should see you for who you are as an independent person are your parents. The moment they deprive you of that, you are going to search for it for the rest of your life. You will just be looking for validation here and there. You will never be enough. And some parents, so for me, sibling rivalry, if it's toxic, is the parent's fault. You have to, I know having 12 children or 5 children, it's very difficult for you not to have a favorite, especially when it's that you have that one child that you don't have to wake up and that one just goes to brush their teeth, get ready for school, and you have that one that you have to really threaten before they get up, you know, so that happens. Then you have one that maybe looks like you and has taken the good part of you, and you look at yourself and say, yes. Then you have that one that's taking your bad habits, and you hate it because whenever the person does that, it reminds you of your weakness, you know. But then again, that is an individual child. And if that child is not validated, the person is going to hate or not like their sibling, and that is going to affect that child. And it does affect.
Sorry, a situation where the children are competing for the parents' attention or love, you know, that tends to happen. And when that happens, it means that, oh, it's like a rat race, you know, if you knock that person down, then, and so you have a chance to help your sibling and you don't. Because if you help them, then they shine, and it rubs off your shine.
But what happens is, I think that also comes from parents comparing children.
Yes.
Okay? So in my situation, I have 2 boys. I always call them the gentleman and the joker. I promise you, this is what they're like. The older one is very proper. You know, my friends would always say to me, Ebon, you just switch when you're talking to your children. Like, he's very proper. You know, he does everything. He's the one that will wake up, brush his teeth, do the other. But the other one, he's a joker. He just laughs at everything. He makes everyone laugh. And if you can't see those 2 as individuals and celebrate the richness and the, you know, the beauty in each of their, you know, of their personalities, then it's going to be like, oh, why can't you be more than like the other one? And that causes rivalry. When you're comparing children and you're saying, why don't you be like this person or that, that causes rivalry.
Yes,
you know?
I think personality has a lot to do with, you know, whether or not siblings would compete against each other and all that. One thing you find is parents don't necessarily have to spend the equal amount of time with every single child, because you find that every single child has a personality trait that either requires you to spend some time with them or not. There are some children that are really independent and can do 1 or 2 things on their own, and they don't even need that much time. They don't need that parent's attention for that period of time. But there are some children that actually need some extra support or some extra guidance. And so as a parent, I think you have to be able to know who needs your time at a particular time and who is good the way they are.
But the problem I have with that is that I think it's a bit of a fallacy, because even children who appear independent need love. Yes. And even those who do, and I'm not talking about love, I mean, they need that attention. They may not appear to. And I say that because there's some children who are independent, yes, but they need the validation that comes from an older person. And but they'll always get on with it, and they'll always leave you to tend to the others.
Definitely.
But it's a burden. Yeah. And there's a tendency to load that child with responsibilities. And that child will feel that, it's too much. And they may not voice it. They may not know to voice it, but it'll come out at some point, because what it means is that they're not being allowed to be enough of a child. And that has its own consequences. And there are resentments that might simmer. Oh, you have more time for the others. Because I do things on my own, you think I don't know enough. And I liked what you said about your children and what you call them, because I have 2 sons as well. And I call one a country gentleman. I mean, he's the kind who can live in the country and walk the dog and have elbow patches, you know, on his, yes. And the other one is a city gentleman, bowler hat and umbrella, go to the men's clubs, you know what I mean? But they're just 2 different kinds of people. And they need to be pushed in different ways. I always say that parenting is individual. It can't be a general rule. So I admire your mother, because parenting is individual, a particular way of parenting for a particular child. And that is why I think there's still been rivalry. When parents don't recognize that and treat the children as if, oh, you're all the same, there's no template.
Okay, so what I mean by time doesn't mean that you wouldn't spend time with a child. Okay, so for instance, if there's a child who knows how to...
an example with your siblings.
Okay, so Okay, so I have a sibling that's maybe, okay, if I have a sibling that's really good at math, for instance. Now, if he needs to solve a problem, for instance, if he needs help with a problem, my mom would help him with the math problem. But my sister might not be as good as math as my brother. So she would need more time from my mom than my brother, who is really good at math. So that time. So that's what I mean when I talk about
time. I hear you, but I'm talking about time in a different context. You know what I mean? Because this time you're talking about is different.
Yes,
it's activity-bound.
Break. And we'll come back to delve into this subject even deeper. Don't go away. It's TW Conversations. Welcome back to The Lounge. It's TW Conversations, and we're talking about sibling rivalry. Now, here's a story, and this is a sharp deviation from the point, and I would like us to find our way back to sibling rivalry. Here's a story. A friend of mine talked about how when her mother was terminally ill, she was a primary caregiver at about 15 or 16, and she was alone. And she was making all those hospital visits. She was caring for her mother. We're talking toilet runs, bathing, and all that as a child, you know. And her mother had siblings who lived in the same city who never came to help. And she was very resentful. And she was, it was a group of people in a conversation. And I was thinking, would there ever be a time when my sister is so sick and Omorefe will be left to care for her on her own? And how would my relationship with my sister or any of my brothers deteriorate so far that I wouldn't even say I'm not able to, I wouldn't be there. And somebody said something that struck me. He said that your relationship with your siblings is something you have to cultivate the same way you cultivate your friendships. The fact that you're born in the same family doesn't mean that you're going to care for each other just because you were raised, because you're all different people. And he made the point that you had to actually actively work at being even friends with your siblings. Who agrees with that?
That is very true.
I absolutely agree.
I agree. You can make certain assumptions based on blood relationships, but after that, there is a relationship you need to develop. There's some siblings who don't like each other.
True.
You know, it's not about rivalry. They just don't like each other.
Because they're used to each other. You've known each other all your lives.
It doesn't matter. I have two girls, and I don't know if this sibling rivalry thing is different when you have the children of the same gender or from different gender. But I have two girls, and when they fight, I always consciously tell them that Jasmine loves Raima, Raima loves Jasmine. I tell them, I consciously tell them, so that they would know. And I tell them that you are blood. You must look out for your sister more than somebody else. You know, if you don't, you have to tell them. No, you love them. I have to tell them all these things because I'm not the only one bringing them up. They're going to see other things outside. So I have to tell them that you have to love your sister. You will love your sister. She might have done something wrong to you right now, but you love your sister and she loves you. And you're supposed to look out for you. So when they're going out, I call them, apart from, don't make sure nobody touches you here, don't go to this corner here. Look out for your sister. Make sure that you get her food to eat. Make sure that if you look for her, you don't find her, you look for her wherever she is. You love her. You must protect her, you must fight for her.
But aren't you putting pressure on the older
I don't care what the pressure is.
No,
you must. No, two of them. I tell the younger one and the older one. But you must love.
I even have an issue. You can bring your children up that way, and you're a very wealthy parent, and then you die, and they start struggling and fighting and killing each other over property. What's that? How does that happen? So were they pretending before? Because they were supposedly close, but all of a sudden, which means that at the end of the day, personal self-interest sometimes. So we must teach our children to be generous of themselves to their siblings and to be content with what they have. I mean, I know there are parents whose children don't know what they have because their parents don't want a problem later on, or that's why there are wills, because there's an understanding that there may be issues.
Yes.
There are families where when the parents die, all of a sudden somebody becomes an ogre and wants everything and doesn't want to give the others anything. And that's why they're administrators. But you have to ask yourself, so what happened weren't they brought up together? Weren't they brought up closely with values? And there are siblings who don't see each other often, but whenever there's an issue, they will come together to solve that problem.
Who is going to do that? Whose role is that? Is it the parents? Is it the parents that are supposed to make sure that happens?
Eventually, there's only so much parents can do after a while. After a while, it's your responsibility to develop a relationship with your siblings, and which means that there's a sense of, with siblings, there has to be the love that is beyond what I want.
Yes.
It's not always there. So what is it that will put it there? Yes. What is it that we can do to put it in our children?
Okay, so in my case, I think the parents have a huge role to play with bringing the family together and bringing in that love. Because, truth be told, at the end of the day, siblings will fight, siblings will have disagreements, but it is that love that binds them together.
Okay. Tell me about any type of rivalry that, I mean, you've talked about how you are all each other's best friends, but I'm sure that you weren't best friends all the time.
Of course.
What are some instances where you've disagreed, and how have you resolved those conflicts?
Okay, so, well, first of all, there are girls and there are boys. I think there's one instance where maybe if we want one sibling wants to watch TV, for instance, maybe wants to watch a football match, and then the girls want to watch something else. So it's always like, okay, it's always like who will get to the TV first, And then you find out, okay, the boys always get to the TV first, and they have to watch their match first, and the girls are like, no, we want to watch our musical, or we want to watch our movie. 6 boys, 6 girls.
Wow, even.
Yes. It's an even battle. So before I continue that statement, I actually want to say something. So from when we were young, from when we were small, my parents actually have always tried to create this togetherness with everyone. My dad always liked us going out together, doing things together. And my mom always taught us how to share things. So for instance, when she comes back from work and she buys something, she'll be like, oh, bring a flat plate and knife. And everybody knows that, wow, something is coming, we're all going to share something. So she brings it and then she shares and all of us take a piece. And then sometimes if someone wants more, someone can say, okay, I'll just give you some of my own or something. So from a young age, we learned to share things. And then even if we have disagreements about who has this and who has that, my mom will be like, okay, do you know what? Can you use this for a while and then let this person use it? So basically, from a really young age, we were taught to kind of have compassion for each other, and then coupled with the fact that we used to hang out a lot together. So back to the football and the musical or football and movie. So in that instance, we learned to come to an agreement. Okay, we know that 7 o'clock is your match. So we'll try not to disturb you. We'll try our very best not to disturb you. But you know that after this match, we must watch our own movie, So so there are instances like that. But when you kind of have grown with this innate, will I say compassion or love? I just like saying love. It's more of love because at the end of the day, you will definitely fight. But what still kind of stops it or brings you together or makes you try to reason, be realistic or whatever is, okay, this is my brother, this is not my friend.
But what it means is that you're saying that the principal responsibility lies with the parents to create that environment.
Well, I think from the beginning, from the beginning, the parents have to start.
I agree.
Yes.
But I'm saying the next step I'm going to, because we have to be realistic. We wouldn't be having this conversation if there wasn't sibling rivalry.
Of course,
and if something didn't cause it.
Yes.
Life then happens.
Yes, of course, definitely.
Life then happens, and then you remember the times when you felt you were hard done by one sibling or the other, by one parent, and then how can it be dealt with?
As an adult. As an adult. I think
how can it be dealt with?
It also depends on you as well, as an individual. First of all, people are different, personalities are different. You have to understand who you are as a person. You have to understand who your sibling is as a person. If you're an extrovert and you like to talk and you like to, you like people around and you like, I don't know, how will I put it? And then you have a sibling who's mostly to himself, and you're definitely going to have clashes.
What I'm going to say to that is, again, I'm playing forgive me for using that expression, devil's advocate, right?
Yes, yes.
It's an assumption that I'm thinking about it. I'm not thinking about it. I'm just living my life every day. And there are these issues that bother me.
I'm not going to call
How am I going to deal with it? Because the truth is, there is a lot of sibling rivalry, even in families that seem to be near perfect.
Yes, of course, yes.
So what is it we're not getting?
I would suggest that if a person who's fully grown has no, need to report to their parents' authority and whatnot, I think that it's a good idea to have a conversation with your siblings about how you feel. I feel daddy always, for example, I feel daddy always paid you a lot more attention and he neglected me.
I totally agree.
I think that mommy gave you more money. I feel that you had all the, and I think that you were born at a time when this, and when I was born, this is how, and this is why I don't.
And I totally resent it.
Yes, I don't like it.
It's difficult because I know that a few months ago I was having a conversation with my sister. We're 2 girls and 3 boys, and I consider myself a middle child because the second, the firstborn is a girl, and the second girl. Then I have 3 boys after me. So I see myself as they now have their firstborn, and they now have the 3 boys that they want. So I'm just there,
the extra thumb.
trying to, I'm here. Notice me.
It's a serious matter.
Serious because it's
I
a really
agree.
sad thing. It's
Well,
not something you want to
especially when
see.
it comes to sharing of, maybe properties and,
Yeah, so we'll come to the end of this conversation. I'll say this, as an adult who is in that, situation, I'd say, remember that family is a big deal, and the place that you should feel the most safe is with family. So mend those broken bridges and be friends with family. Imagine how beautiful that would be. Thank you for watching Sibling Rivalry. We'll continue this conversation on the social gram, So all the handles are right here on the screen. Talk to us. Let's have this conversation all over again. Take care. Bye. Bye.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408, or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Hear success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on Plus TV Africa.
In raising our kids, parents should stop playing God.
The internet is actually using the people.
But when you are looking for money to help other people, then it becomes easy.
Don't rush into marriage. I always say this. You rush in, you rush out.
Family is the bedrock of every society and the essence of life.
On Today with John and Helen, we dig deep into family values in every sense of the word.
Join us every Saturday at 9:15 a.m. on Plus TV Africa, DSTV channel 408.
With you, we play a part in strengthening the values passed from generation to generation.
On Plus TV News now, female students killed, burnt in Sokoto over alleged blasphemy as police arrest two overact. Federal government suspends basketball in Nigeria for 2 years. Alleged senior leader of 1994 genocide in Rwanda confirmed dead. Russia threatens to retaliate as Finland seeks NATO membership without delay. Good evening, I am Loretta Chiogo. This is News Now. A female student of the Shehu Shagari College of Education has been killed and burnt in Sokoto by irate Muslim youths. According to the police, Deborah Samuel, a level 2 student, was accused of making a social media post that blasphemed the Prophet Muhammad. The police said the students forcefully removed the victim from the security room where she was hidden by the school authorities, killed her and burnt the building. The police said it has arrested 2 persons in connection with the killing, while the school has been shut down and additional police personnel deployed to the premises. Meanwhile, the Sultan of Sokoto, Saad Abubakar, has condemned the killing of a female student over blasphemy. This was contained in a circular signed by the Secretary of the Sultanate, Saidu Muhammadu Machido. The council urged security agencies to bring the perpetrators of the dastardly act to justice. The Sultanate Council urged all to remain calm and ensure peaceful coexistence among all people of the state and nation. President Muhammadu Buhari has signed into law 3 bills aimed at improving the anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing, proliferation financing framework in Nigeria. The bills are the Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Bill 2022, the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Bill 2022, and the Proceeds of Crime Recovery and Management Bill 2022. President Buhari described the bills as being in tandem with his administration's commitment to fight corruption and illicit financing activities. He mentioned that the new law have provided enough punitive measures and containment strategies against abuses and compromises. He explained that the new law mandates the creation of dedicated accounts for the proceeds of crime and other confiscated assets in order to enhance the accountability of the process. Also, the president has appealed to the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, to consider the plight of students and call off the ongoing strike. At the 19th National Productivity Day and conferment of the National Productivity Order of Merit Award, the president urged students in public tertiary institutions to be patient as the federal government strives to address the nagging issues in the nation's university system within the ambit of available resources. During the event, President Buhari conferred the 2019-2020 awards on 37 individuals and 11 organizations at the State House.
Mr. President, since the inception of the award in 1991, it has been bestowed on a total of 382 individuals and 97 organizations. Today, 37 individuals and 11 organizations have proved themselves worthy of this award.
It will be difficult to improve our economic performance and overall productivity without improving our educational system. Government notes the emergency situation in our educational system, with particular reference to the dearth of qualified and dedicated teachers to enhance the quality of teaching and learning at all levels of our educational system. To address these challenges and set our country on the path of industrialization where our educational system will produce the needed skills and manpower, this administration has taken measures to motivate teachers, including timely promotion, and prompt payment of salaries. And the
Youths in the southwest region of the country have berated the Senate President Ahmed Lawan over his position on the lingering crisis between ASU and the federal government. The youths, under the aegis of Oodua Youth Coalition OYC, described as faulty the statement credited to Lawan that the 2009 agreement between ASU and the federal government was unrealistic. They have vowed to barricade federal roads across southwest states if the government refused to yield to the demands of ASU within 7 days. Speaking during a press briefing in Akure, the Ondo State capital, the national president of the group, Tayo Akintade, maintained that the Senate has been part of the agreement.
The refusal of the federal government to accede to this request has impacted negatively on tertiary education and future of Nigeria. We use this medium to inform the federal government that Yoruba youths are tired of staying at home. We thereby give the Nigerian government 7 days to reach a compromise with ASU and return our students to campuses, or we shut down all federal roads in the West. We value education in Yoruba land, and we won't watch the effort of our heroes past go to waste.
We have seen that for years, these people do not actually listen to dialogues. They do not actually listen to people that come to them to ask questions. I think they understand that when things are turned upside down, they respond. And I think this is the approach we are taking. And I'm very, very sure, I'm confident that after this our plan to block all the federal roads in the southwest, I think they will respond to our request.
Another setback looms in the nation's education sector as members of the Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics, ASUP, prepare to embark on a warning strike. ASUP President Anderson Ezebe stated that Polytechnic lecturers would withdraw their services in a 2-week industrial action with effect from Monday next week, a decision reached at the emergency meeting of the union's NEC to review the response of the federal government to its ultimatum. And away from education matters, former President Olusegun Obasanjo and other stakeholders in the African project have identified lack of training as one of the factors hindering good leadership in Africa. This was disclosed at the formal launch of Gotni Leadership Training Center in Abuja. Our correspondent Emmanuel Ehejene filed in this report.
It was the launch of the GOTNI Leadership Training Center in Abuja as dignitaries added color to the event. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo was the guest of honor and in his usual sagacious demeanor spoke glowingly about the center. He had more to talk about. Obasanjo bemoaned the leadership deficiency in Africa.
Leadership can be taught. It can be acquired, so that as you can teach anything else, and anything that can be taught can be learned. So if leadership can be taught, it can be learned. So people must be ready to teach leadership, and people must be ready to learn leadership.
Other dignitaries also spoke in similar vein, added that African countries need such training institution replicated in their domains to enable the continent address leadership deficiency and reposition the continent for growth, productivity, and progress.
We have agreed that as a country we haven't done well in leadership. Our leadership stock is very thin. We have not had consistent, enlightened, visionary, competent, courageous, and leadership of integrity that should take our country from the third world situation, from a stagnated, poverty-ridden nation, to a nation that is globally competitive.
We need to promote leadership. And leadership means how people can be engaged properly and to manage their country in a very efficient manner. And this not can be possible if we don't engage our young people, if we cannot help them to upgrade their skills in terms of management.
The founder of the center, Mr. Lionel Sokorie, said the institute has so far trained leaders in some public and private institutions.
The investment that we are making today, some of it might not be speaking right now in the political space, but in the organization, we're already seeing stories of transformation and change going on. All I want is a critical mass of human beings investing in this journey, where we can grow leadership from high school up till the political level. In fact, now that we're in the political period, anybody who wants to seek a political office at whatever level, it's important that they come and sit down and understand what leadership is about.
No doubt, the place of training remains pertinent in growth and development.
The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Hajia Sadia Farouk, has disclosed that over 4 billion naira was spent on procuring starter packs of 194 youths trained on smartphone repair in Adamawa State under its N Skills. She made this disclosure at the graduation ceremony of 194 youths trained in smartphone repairs, stressing that the government was committed to investing over 4 billion naira on training, tooling, and payment of monthly stipends to the Batch C beneficiaries of the program. The minister was represented by the National Coordinator of the National Social Investment Program, NSIP, Dr. Umar Buba Bendir.
This administration, NSIP, will be there. All these programs will be implemented, and gradually, by God's grace, we will achieve the policy of Mr. President of lifting 100 million people out of absolute poverty.
With a total number of 28,697 youths benefiting from this program since inception and receiving 30,000 monthly as stipend. Not only that, we have the non-graduate category that have graduated over 1,000 in Adamawa State.
For giving us this kind of opportunity to participate in one of the skill acquisition that is running within the country. I want to say thank you because we have learned a lot, and by God's grace, we are not going to put you down. We'll make sure that with these skills that we have acquired, we'll be able to gain something that you people will come at us and say thank you.
This 6 weeks program has been a very successful one. I've learned what I don't know before. The skill acquisition and the handset smartphone repair, the teachers have taught us a lot.
And now to politics. In less than 24 hours, the All Progressives Congress, APC, will close the submission of its expression of interest and nomination forms by aspirants vying for elected positions in the 2023 general elections. This was contained in the party's adjusted schedule of activities for the elections. Meanwhile, the sale of forms closes May 12. The APC hinted that the screening for presidential aspirants would hold on Monday, May 23rd, while governorship primaries would take place on May 20. The APC convention for presidential primaries is billed to hold on May 30 and June 1st, according to the party. The governor of Ekiti State, Ayodele Fayemi, has visited Gombe State to woo the All Progressives Congress's delegates ahead of its presidential primaries. Addressing the delegates at the Government House Banquet Hall, Fayemi promised to tackle joblessness, insecurity, and the ailing electricity in the country. He described his mission to serve as a divine call to serve God and humanity.
Eminently qualified or even overqualified to be the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And for so many reasons, this group have every reason and ground to stand by you and to make sure that you are delivered in this position.
Now, I have come to see the party leadership. I've engaged our party leadership. They've expressed their own concerns about what Gombe needs as a state in developing the oil frontiers, in ensuring that the solid minerals in the state is exploited properly with the input of the state in the process, and in promoting the need for the industrial development zone to be fully developed with a special economic status. That is the least to expect from a progressive developmental state.
Earlier at the banquet hall, Governor Yahaya described Fayemi as overqualified for the position, listing dexterity, coordination, vigor, and energy as rare qualities that stood him out among other APC aspirants. The Director General of Yahaya Bello Presidential Campaign Organization, Hafsat Abiola Costello, has expressed optimism that the Kogi State Governor would emerge as the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress during the May 29 primaries. Hafsat Abiola, while submitting the nomination form for the Kogi State Governor at the International Conference Center in Abuja, expressed confidence that he would pick the ruling party's presidential ticket in the next few weeks. The DG specifically urged Nigerians to keep a date with destiny on May 29. The deputy governorship candidate of the Action Democratic Party, ADP, Idowu Afuye, has joined the All Progressives Congress barely 4 weeks to the Ekiti State governorship election. Afuye said his decision to return to the APC was hinged largely on the absence of internal democracy within his former party, ADP.
In the ADP, democracy has another definition from the old times expression of government of the people, by the people, and for the people. It is a one-man show. I exit from the party. I confirm to you that the candidate is looking for the highest bidder. In fact, she has approached All Progressive Congress, APC. All this she was doing without carrying me and the leadership of the party along. Before she destroyed my political career, I have to decide to move.
Meanwhile, attempts to get the reaction of the flag bearer of the ADP in the coming election was unsuccessful, as at the time of filing in this report. A governorship aspirant on the platform of the All Progressives Congress, APC in Rivers State, Senator Magnus Abe, has urged governments at all levels to invest in securing opportunities for citizens towards tackling insecurity and other socio-economic challenges in Nigeria. The former senator representing Rivers Southeast Senatorial District said this at a one-day workshop organized by Freedom House and Associated Advisory Services in Port Harcourt, the state capital.
The one-day workshop has as a theme the importance of investment, economic and political implications in Rivers State. Speaking at the event, Senator Abe stressed that if people are busy with their genuine sources of livelihood, there would be peace and stability in the society. He said that no government can achieve a meaningful development without commitment to prudent management of resources.
When leaders become afraid that if citizens have money, they will threaten the government, that is because you're not leading by ideas. For the past how many years, we have been here, no money. So instead of threatening other citizens with hunger, threatening them with poverty, you empower the citizens.
The governorship aspirant to Rivers State, Magnus Abe, declared that if he is eventually elected to form a government in Rivers State, his administration will prioritize creation of opportunities that will empower citizens to make wealth. Facilitators at the workshop said there is the need for people to think outside the box towards legitimate wealth creation and stop depending on government or using politics as source of livelihood in order to be useful to themselves, the community, the state, and the country at large.
If people know that when they enter into an agreement with another person to do something, and the person doesn't do it, or the person takes their money, they don't need another money to get the government to take action and deliver judgment or be able to recover their money or punish the person who has wronged them. A lot of businesses that fail will not fail. And that is why, by the grace of God, when we work together and we create a government here at River State that serves the people of River State.
It's not necessary for you to have money, you have millions, you have billions, before you can create wealth or create investment. It's very important to start even on a micro level so that you develop yourself.
If you can invest on your own, no matter how little the capital is, there is no way you will not make profit. That is the essence of this workshop, to enlighten the community.
Senator Abbey advised participants to develop business ideas, as without funds, no government can thrive in any society.
The Senate has received the nomination of Senator Danjuma Lah as the new Deputy Minority Whip of the Senate from the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Lah's nomination was contained in a letter addressed to the Senate President, Hamad Lawan, and read at the start of plenary. Anyau, the National Secretary of the PDP, explained in the letter that the nomination was against the backdrop of the recent defection of the former Minority Whip, Senator Ibrahim Abdullahi Dambaba, to the APC.
Distinguished Senator Danjuma Lah, the new Deputy Chief Whip, the leadership and membership of this Senate wish you a very successful tenure. And as you assume that seat, we pray that you are able to perform your function as a Deputy Minority Whip very successfully.
The opposition and the main party must work hand in hand. But Mr. President, from what I've observed here, we will bring a leader here, the next day you have taken him. In the next 1 month, you bring another leader, you have taken him. It's not good for us, it's embarrassing. Don't take our leaders, take other people. It's not too good for the system.
George Thompson Sekibo, thank you very much for your comments, but you know, I'm constrained to rule you out of order because what you have said has nothing to do with this order you cited, Order 1B. But before I rule you out of order, I can see you advertising yourself because you are complaining that only the leadership of the minority or the opposition has been taken. Now you are presenting yourself as a candidate. I think those who are using the magic wand to get our people across from the left to the right, there is a candidate who has advertised himself.
The governor of Ondo State, Rotimi Akeredolu, has directed that 350 personnel be employed into the Ondo State Security Network, popularly known as Amotekun Corps. They are to be deployed to the forests and bushes. Governor Akeredolu disclosed this at an award presentation organized by the Ondo State Agribusiness Empowerment Center at the Cocoa Conference Hall in Akure. He said that more operational vehicles and motorcycles would be purchased to aid Amotekun operations in the state.
Amotekun has become synonymous with us, and our people have come to buy the idea because you know their worth. And I can assure you, because of a lot of pressure on Amotekun, I've even given an approval that about 350 more corps members be recruited. And we have to purchase more vehicles for them, motorcycle for them to move. Security is important.
The Chief of Naval Staff, Awal Zubairu Gambo, gave a lecture at the 10th edition of Secures West Africa 2022 International Exhibition on protecting critical national infrastructure and tackling maritime crimes, protecting Nigeria's ports. He gave the lecture in Lagos, where he spoke on the Gulf of Guinea being among the most strategic sea lanes of communication to global economy due to its enormous potentials in hydrocarbon, fisheries, and other resources for exploration and exploitation of the global maritime.
According to the Vice President Yemi Oshibajo, Federal Republic of Nigeria, I quote, Nigeria loses around $26 billion a year to criminal activities, particularly piracy and sea robbery, unquote. This development imposes huge burden on the Nigerian Navy to protect critical infrastructure within Nigeria's environment, as well as to tackle all forms of maritime crimes. Frequent abuse of the domain through illicit activities of local and foreign collaborators has continued to elicit concerns from different quarters. More disturbing is the fact that many of these illicit acts are targeted at the nation's economic lifeline, further exacerbating wide-scale poverty.
A group under the aegis of EndSARS United, in conjunction with Ramimba, want the Lagos State government to immediately stop the plan to resume tolling at the Lekki toll gate. At a press conference, the group tagged the plan as illegal. Our correspondent Paul George reports.
Solidarity forever.
Gathered here are lawyers come activists. They are unhappy about the Lagos State government's plan to return to tolling on the controversial Lekki toll gate, with bloodstains of some EndSARS activists.
The tolling is not ongoing on the Ikoyi Link Bridge as we speak, but the mere fact that the Lagos State government think they have the legal right to toll on the bridge, on that bridge, is an insult to the law and the memories of citizens that lost their lives at the Lekki toll gate on October 20th, 2020. The SCC and Lagos State government are to also know that we shall be demanding an account of the monies, you see, illegally and fraudulently extorted from the residents of Lekki and other users of the bridge since the SRP was thrown out. Because they have been hiding under the federal government not to do what they are supposed to do. We are calling for accountability, not to even talk about the major ones like admitting and apologizing to the citizens for the massacre, identifying and prosecuting all officers involved, compensation of the victims and others. Yet they can do countless of meetings, press conferences, and others just to open an illegal tolling location where the blood of innocent citizens was spilled. Nigerians say a very big no to that.
Ogunlana discloses the group's next line of action if Lekki toll gate is opened for business.
We demand justice for EndSARS victims. We demand rehabilitation of the maimed and the wounded. We demand immediate release of fear and open trial of those still in prison because of their participation in the protest. Yes. We demand full implementation of the Judicial Panel of Inquiries Lagos Recommendations Report. Yes. We stay no to operation of the Lekki toll gate, Ikoyi Links Bridge toll gate. The Lekki toll gate itself should be made a national monument as recommended by the Judicial Panel. All these we demand, and we are standing by it. There will be protest. It's as simple as that. Democracy needs to be watered, needs to be cultivated, and by vigilant gardeners. We are Nigerians, we are the gardeners of the democracy. If democracy are the people who have employed to do the work, they are refusing to do it, we will make them to do the work. We are saying that the citizens of Nigeria should not lay back to defend and fight for their own rights. Angels will not come from heaven. Malaika will not come from heaven.
Some months ago, when the Lagos State government resumed tolling at the Lekki toll gate, it was forcefully resisted by protesters. It is not clear how long this resistance would be, but what is clear is that activists want justice for the slain who fought to end the cruelty of SARS. Paul George, Plus TV News.
We shall always fight for our rights.
And so from Lagos, as Nigeria moves into the rainy season, residents of Ijegun area in Ikotun, Ijegun Local Council Development area of the state have raised an alarm over the poor state of their roads. They called on the state government to hasten road rehabilitation and construction in the area to avoid being caught up in the flooding that may come with heavy rains. Our correspondent, Love Ikukoyedokun, visited the area and now reports.
For many years, Ijegun Ikotun Road remained in a bad shape with potholes and blocked drainage system. This took its toll on vehicles plying the area and on fares. Residents have to pay higher to move in and out of the area.
If the rain fall now, no way to let Kokada or Morua or Moto to come from Ikotun to Ijegun or from Ijegun to Jagemo.
It's worse than this one before. Thank God for our community. Jagemo community with Ijegun here. Collaborate to do this our road here.
In fact, it's very terrible when rain is falling. The whole place will be flooded with water. Just as recent now, they just upgrade the road now, and it's more or less a little bit motorable now.
I'm very worried because when it starts raining now, or when it stops raining, so to go out, you will not be able to see all these bikers. You will not be able to see this Marwa, and most of them will be calling price. So if you don't have enough transport, you can't go anywhere from this place.
Though the road looks partially rehabilitated, the worries of residents have not abated with the rainy season here again. They fear they might just be in for another round of nightmare while the season lasts.
Never reach almost 2 months when they level this place now. But look at this road now. It's not good anything. Secondly, if the July come now, you see all this the level they were doing, the erosion will carry all the water, the sound go to gutter.
We want government to come to our aid, at least to come and help us to do this road from Ijegun down to Jagemo. So even we learned that it's going to buzz out at Obadore, that is Lasso Road. If it is done in that way, it will be better.
Weather forecast has it that Lagos State will witness about 250 to 300 days of rainfall across the 20 local governments this year. It is also expected that the recent increased frequency of extreme weather events will continue with days of extremely high rainfall, which may result in flooding, according to the Nigeria Hydrological Services. From Lagos, Love Kuku Oyedoku, Plus TV News.
Still ahead, a South Africa workers picket outside ArcelorMittal plant over wages. Details when we return.
Life can be fun and rewarding, but it also comes with some risk. As in business, you win some, you lose some. And that's why you need to be wise in the choices you make. It's like placing a bet. Again, you need to be wise. Wise in choosing an innovative platform with the highest market options and highest odds ever. That's why Winners Golden Bet, the leader in online, in-shop, virtual, and live sports betting, gives you enhanced platforms that offer you the best chances of winning. For betting on live soccer matches, live dog races, and virtual games. Winners Golden Bet is your best bet. Instant payment of winnings guaranteed. Play online or in any of our numerous shops nearest to you.
Hey guys, be wise. Play on Winners Golden Bet.
Winners Golden Bet, the wise choice.
And from other parts of Africa, scores of striking workers picketed outside ArcelorMittal's plant about 100 kilometers south of Johannesburg over their wages. Protesters chanted songs, burned tires and blocked roads with cement as police kept a close watch. The National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa, NUMSA, began a strike at South Africa's biggest steel company on Wednesday, May 11, after wage negotiations broke down last week. The union wants a 10% pay increase, a housing allowance, and a payment of 80% of medical insurance costs against the company's final offer of a 7% wage increase.
The union members and the union in general, we are talking to the company for salary increase. So then the company want to give us 5 plus 2% salary increase. We as the union members and the union in general, we want to get 10% salary increase. So then that's why we are standing outside saying we need that percentage, because each and everything is increasing. Petrol is increasing, fish oil, food, and everything is increasing. So then the company doesn't want to give us that percentage. So we will fight till we get that 10% salary increase.
A Malawian court has sentenced 3 men to 155 years in jail for killing a person with albinism. Among the culprits and the man's uncle, who together with 2 other individuals confessed to killing the victim. The 3 men aged 44, 45 and 71 revealed they committed the atrocity in January this year. And Ethiopia's government-appointed human rights body has accused security forces and their allied armed men of killing 11 people and wounding at least 30 others in the country's eastern Somali region. This happened during a traditional ceremony to choose a new clan leader in March. Ethiopia's Human Rights Commission interviewed witnesses and visited graves in the Gorzum district. It said security forces had used excessive force to disperse the gathering and recommended a criminal investigation. The commission has on several occasions accused government troops and allied militias, as well as Tigrayan rebel fighters, of committing grave rights abuses in the country's war-hit northern regions. Ghana is committed to managing its debt without assistance from the International Monetary Fund, so says the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta. At a press conference in Accra, the country's capital, the Finance Minister expressed confidence that government measures were moving the country in the right direction. According to government's data, Ghana's public debt, which was at about 77% of its gross domestic product at the end of 2021, drove the country into crisis. Due to this, the government put in place several measures aimed at generating more revenue to strengthen the economy. The controversial electronic levy and the cuts in salaries of public officials were part of the measures to restore a depressing local currency and reassure investors. The introduction of the new tax has seen its own criticisms from the opposition and a majority of Ghanaians. The central bank in March raised its main lending rate by a record 250 basis points and is expected to review this at the next Monetary Policy Committee meeting on May 23rd. The former prominent Rwandan official who was wanted for many years for playing a key role in the 1994 genocide has been found dead. Protais Mpiranya was head of the Presidential Guard and was indicted more than 2 decades ago by the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda. Whilst on the run, he assumed a different name but investigators have finally tracked down his grave on the outskirts of Zimbabwean capital Harare. Biraya is said to have died in 2006. The last of the major fugitives indicted by the tribunal was accused of ordering the murders of senior moderate Rwandan leaders at the start of the genocide. He was charged with the murders of 10 Belgian UN peacekeepers. And outside Africa, Finland is set to apply to join NATO, with Sweden expected to follow. This move is not sitting well with Russia, as Kremlin has threatened retaliatory steps over its neighbor Finland. A foreign ministry statement said the move would seriously damage bilateral relations as well as security and stability in Northern Europe. Details in this next report.
Finland must join the NATO military alliance without delay, the country's president and prime minister confirmed on Thursday, in a major policy shift for the country, triggered by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Moscow said the move was definitely a threat and that it was ready to respond. Having long warned Finland of consequences should it choose to join NATO, the Kremlin added that the expansion of the military bloc would not make Europe or the world more stable. But Finland's neighbour Sweden is also close to a decision on asking to join NATO after decades of following a neutral path. The announcement represents a huge setback for Russia, which had partly attempted to justify its invasion of Ukraine as a means to protect itself from NATO's eastwards expansion. The Finnish parliament will debate the announcement on Monday. Foreign Minister Pekka Haavisto told EU lawmakers the move would improve security in the Baltic Sea region.
Russia's invasion of Ukraine has altered the European and Finnish security environment. However, Finland is not facing an immediate military threat.
Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told reporters that Russia wanted to avoid a direct clash with NATO, but that Moscow was prepared to make a decisive response to anyone that tried to hinder Russia's special military operation in Ukraine. Finland shares an 810-mile border with Russia that would more than double the current frontier between the US-led alliance and Russia, and put NATO guards a few hours' drive from the northern outskirts of St. Petersburg. Finland has gradually stepped up its cooperation with the North Atlantic Treaty Organization since Russia annexed Crimea in 2014. But it had resisted joining NATO in order to maintain friendly relations with its eastern neighbour until Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February. Ahead of Thursday's statement, Finnish President Sauli Niinisto said its move to join NATO demonstrated that Russia's actions had it backed into a corner.
If that would be the case that we join, well, my response would be that you caused this. Look at the mirror.
Oil slips more than 2% on fears recession may hit demand. That's in business news after this short break.
Welcome to the business news on Plus TV Africa. The Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, and the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, have taken their collaboration a notch further. This time, it is by setting up a joint committee of senior and management staff of the two agencies towards the implementation of interagency strategies for enhancing national revenues in the telecommunications sector. The NCC Executive Commissioner, Stakeholder Management, Adeleke Adewolu, inaugurated the 17-member committee on behalf of the Commission's Executive Vice Chairman, Professor Umar Dambata, and the Executive Chairman of the FIRS, Mohammed Nami, at the NCC's board in Abuja. Siemens will quit the Russian market due to the war in Ukraine, taking a €600 million hit to its business during the second quarter, with more costs to come. The German Industrial and Technology Group became the latest multinational to announce losses linked to its decision to leave Russia following the February 24 invasion, which Moscow calls a special military operation. Several companies from Brewers Anheuser-Busch and Carlsberg to sportswear maker Adidas, car maker Renault, and several banks have been counting the cost of suspending operations or withdrawing from Russia. Russia's second largest oil producer, Lukoil, will buy Shell's Russian retail and lubricants businesses as the British oil major moves ahead with its exit from the country following its Ukraine invasion. In a statement, Shell said the deal includes 411 retail stations, mainly located in the central and northwestern regions of Russia, and the Tozok lubricants blending plant. Neither Shell nor Lukoil should not comment on the value of the deal, which still requires the approval of Russia's anti-monopoly authorities. Oil prices dropped more than 2% on Thursday in a volatile week as recession fears dogged global financial market, outweighing supply concerns and geopolitical tensions in Europe. Brent crude was down $2.26 or 2.1% to $105.25 a barrel at 0903 GMT. The WTI crude fell $2.45 or 2.3% to $103.26 a barrel. Oil prices are under pressure this week, along with global financial market and jitters over rising interest rates, the strongest US dollar in 2 decades, concerns over inflation and possible recession. And that's it in business. The news continues. I am Khadija Tapalugu.
And to our entertainment room for some stories.
Stevie Wonder sounded the alarm about deteriorating civil rights in America. The Grammy winner gave an impassioned speech in defense of civil rights while being honored with the Icon Award during the NAACP Legal Defense Fund's 34th National Equal Justice Awards dinner. Wonder, who was presented with his award by actress Rita Moreno, said that America is right and stands strong as a fighter for democracy around the world, but we must not forget to fight the war in poverty in the United States of America. A member of the punk group Pussy Riot, Maria Alyokina, who has long protested Russian President Vladimir Putin's regime, said she escaped the country disguised as a food courier. She said that though she once refused to leave the country despite multiple arrests and periods of imprisonment, she finally left the Russian authorities said she'd served time in a penal colony. She had been under effective house arrest after having been arrested several times over the last decade for a performance with Pussy Riot. Naomi Judd's memorial service will be televised during an ad-free broadcast to honor her immense impact with help from a widower, Larry Strickland, and her 2 adult daughters, actress Ashley Judd and country singer Wynonna Judd. According to the producers from the network, the special will celebrate a timeless voice, unforgettable spirit, and the immense impact she left on the genre through the best form of healing music. Naomi passed away at the age of 76 in April 2021 after an extended struggle with her mental health. The official trailer for Disney's original film on Giannis Antetokounmpo's life and family, Rise, has launched nearly a month to its release. The new visuals offers a first look into the title, headed straight to streaming via Disney Plus on June 24th. Production for the Akio Motosho directed film kicked off last year with Disney announcing in October that Giannis would serve as executive producer for the Benny Goldman produced title. Gunna has now joined Young Thug behind bars as the College Park porn star turned himself into police as he was named among 28 people associated with YSL who were charged in a 56-count Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act indictment. He surrendered to authorities in Fulton County and has been charged with 1 count of conspiring to violate RICO. The conspiracy charge stems from an alleged incident that occurred in January the 24th, 2013, while the gang charge is connected to an alleged offense from May 12, 2018.
And sports news is up next.
Hello and welcome to Sports News on Plus TV Africa. Peter Said Ida, a cleric, football pundit and former Nigerian international, has declared his interest in being the next president of the Nigerian Football Federation. Mr. Amaju Pinnick, the current president of the NFF, has announced that he will not run for a third term after a series of rumors linked him to another 4 years in office. Ida, who previously played for BCC Lions of Boko, now defunct, Enyimba and Morocco Swallows, is a regular on SuperSport Soccer Africa, where he appears as one of the show's wise men, as pundits are known. He was also the Super Eagles media officer at a point. Ida called it a revolution of football in Nigeria in a video posted on Twitter and said change is needed.
Let's change Nigerian football. Let's do something different. Let the young people come out. Let the old come out. It's a revolution. It's a total revolution. We want to change Nigerian football. Join us in this push. You know, we just want to change Nigerian football. We need to be at the World Cup. Our teams need to play at CAF Cups and do well. I have a dream. Let's make it work.
Rafa Nadal said on Wednesday, May 11th, that it was his and the rest of the ATP Player Council's job to defend Russian and Belarusian players who have been banned from this year's Wimbledon. The All England Lawn Tennis Club, AELTC, barred players from the two countries from competing at this year's grass court major in response to what Russia calls a special military operation in Ukraine. Belarus has been a key staging area for the invasion. Responding to reports that the Players' Council have asked for the tournament's ranking points to be stripped, Nadal said that it was the organization's job to protect every player. The AELTC's decision has been condemned by both the men's and women's tours, as well as several other players. World number one Novak Djokovic, who has also criticized the ban, said recently that he had spoken to Russian players and it was tough for them to be excluded from the tournament.
There are some private conversations on the council about this kind of stuff, something that I think it's not good to go public. The only thing that we can do is be in touch with Wimbledon and with the rest of the ATP management to do the things that works better to protect every single player in the ATP. That's at the end, that's our job, to protect the players and to work in the benefit of every single player that we are representing.
The Memphis Grizzlies fought off elimination to reduce the Eastern Conference semifinal series deficit to 3-2 with a convincing 134-95 victory over the Golden State Warriors. All-star guard Ja Morant is unlikely to feature again in the playoffs due to injury after missing Game 4, but the Memphis outfit clearly didn't miss their star man, as Jaren Jackson Jr., Desmond Bain and Tyus Jones all posted 21 on the board as the Grizzlies shared the scoring round. They'll have to do it all again in San Francisco come Friday, though, where the Warriors have won 5 straight playoff games and their last 7 overall.
Saul bounce early. He was 0 of 7 from three-point territory. Jackson puts it in. A 3 for Jaren Jackson Jr. But not finish it. Another opportunity. Knocked out of there. Curry gets his hands on it. And the low dribble by Curry. They'll wait for his teammates. Now step back. Splash! Knock it in. They've missed their last 5 shots. Poole. Ricochet. Thompson. Bottom. Klay Thompson is feeling it. Point game. Anderson. Oh, what a set! Clark on the rack attack. Trying to get his way to the rim. Follow is good. It's Clark. He's been for Brandon Clark. Poole stripped to the ball, trying to swallow it up. And Golden State controls. Look ahead. Thompson the catch.
And that's all the sports news we have for you for now. Join us next time. My name is Mikhail Tinubu. Have a wonderful night.
And the main news again. Female student killed, burnt in Sokoto over alleged blasphemy as police arrest 2 over act. Federal government suspends basketball in Nigeria for 2 years. Alleged senior leader of 1994 genocide in Rwanda confirmed dead. And Russia threatens to retaliate as Finland seeks NATO's membership without delay. That's news now. For more stories, please follow us on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. I'm Loretta Chiogo. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful night rest. Good night.
You know what time it is? It's time for the biggest entertainment show on the planet. And of course, you know who's in your face, actually. Yes, my name is Ifeoluwa Oshuke, aka, you know, the dopest one on your screen. Too much sauce on your screen every day, bringing you the vibes and dope analysis